Hey, everybody, welcome on back to Rubbin is Racing podcast. It's our first episode of 2025, and we're happy as hell to be back. And this episode is brought to you by Body Armor Flash IV. It's time to reach for some real rehydration with Body Armor Flash IV, packed with electrolytes, zinc for added immune boost, and no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes. Flash IV, which I have in my hand right now, the rehydration your body needs, whether you're feeling under the weather, just had an intense workout, or recovering from a long weekend. Body Armor Flash IV helps bring you back. I just saw KB and Nick Tirani pounding these after big workout days yesterday. I destroyed myself in Cheval last night, which I think you're opinionated on, and this is going to be my go-to. It should be yours too. Get yours today at Walmart or a local grocery store near you. Thank you, Body Armor, and thank you, Flash IV, for keeping us rehydrated and fantastic.
It's delicious.
Yeah, this is easy to drink.
Was that your first sip? Delicious.
No, you know what? I've done other flavors before. This is the tropical punch, but this one's easy to take down. Sometimes you feel like you're drinking from an IV bag when you're doing some of these things. That one's absolutely delicious. We're back. It's the same cast of characters. We got Moonhead in the decks. He's actually not going to be on today because he's en route to Daytona. We got my man Spider, who is now he's a music video star, and he's also star of the beginning of a rap song, all within the last 6 months. We have Quiggs, who's done nothing special, and then we got Jacob. Jacob is the man behind the ones and twos. Manoli's going back to his Snapchat dungeon for now. Jacob's going to be the guy on the ones and twos for us. Huge off season. I know that other podcasts have ripped apart some of the rule changes that have been done, some of the seat changes that have been made, but all that shit is behind us. We're ready to race, and Spider and I are about to head down to Daytona in a couple of days. We're taping on Wednesday in the Chicago studio. We're heading down on Friday. I'll say it at the beginning of the podcast. We're doing a meet and greet at Chili's in Ormond Beach on Friday between noon and 1 o'clock. It's going to be myself and Spider doing a Q&A with Carson Hocevar and Justin Haley. So we're very excited about that. If you're in Daytona this weekend, doing nothing on a Friday, you want to come down and have a couple of Presidente margaritas, the best chips and salsa in the game, and obviously those huge cheese pulls, come and join us at Chili's in Ormond Beach, Florida on Friday from noon to 1. I'll mention it again later in the show. How are you, Spider? What's going on in your life?
I'm pumped. NASCAR's back. You know, it's been a long, very short off season, depending on who you ask, as you'll hear in our Bubba Wallace and Chase interview coming in just a couple minutes. But no, it's great. It's great that football is over. NASCAR is now the spotlight, at least in my life, and I'd like to think whoever's watching this as well. And I'm also simultaneously pumped that we have Chili's in the flesh now. This has been one of my favorite, probably P1 in terms of my favorite restaurant chain-wise since I was maybe like 10 years old. I've had birthday parties there. I would go there after school in high school with my buddies, get the bottomless chips and drinks, and now we get to welcome them to Rubbin is Racing. So it's massive. Super excited about that. Pumped they're with us.
We were filming that little skit, like the little video. It'll be out on our social. And almost everyone was like, "Oh, we have Chili's, like Chili's rocks."
Yeah. Everyone seems to be excited
because there were so many of them.
We've had an embarrassment of riches with this podcast, with the sponsors who we've had and continue to have. So to have somebody like Chili's jump on board is kind of cool.
It's very cool.
I just think that we're having a great experience all the way around, including being able to get, again, whoever the fuck we want to have on this show. We get on the show, including the most popular driver in the world for 7 seasons in a row, and Bubba Wallace. You had to take Bubba too. They're going to be coming up. We did a very long interview with Chase Elliott and Bubba Wallace. They came into the Chicago office. We made a Chicago dog with Chase Elliott, who does not like hot dogs. They hung out. They did a couple other things. They were in the golf sim for a little while. So shout out to Chase's team and Bubba's team for giving us so much time before the season even started. I will tell you, before we get into that interview in a little bit, we had those guys the week before Bowman Gray, but we knew we weren't going to drop it until today, till right before Daytona. So at no point during that interview do we mention that Chase Elliott won Bowman Gray and stuff. So that's the only egg on our face, but there's going to be a shitload more egg on our face by the time this season is over, as you guys know. What do you think? What's the best thing that's happened since the last time we've been talking about NASCAR? Because we've had off for a couple of months, a couple of well-deserved months off. Anything jump out at you, Spider?
Yeah, I mean, two come to mind. One, I think the New Look Clash was an absolute riveting success. I love what NASCAR did, pairing, local short track legends at Bowman Gray, guys that have had storied careers at that track.
Right.
And then brought NASCAR's top talent in the Cup Series to that track and really shined a light on, the historic older tracks that are often forgotten or neglected. I think that's a winning formula for NASCAR moving forward, and the Clash was a massive success. Not only did, as you said, the 7-time most popular driver win with Chase Elliott winning, but the inclusion of local legends was very welcome addition. I think the fans enjoyed it. Despite it being a big local audience, I think 40% were locals. There was also fans from 40-something states per the broadcast. So super encouraging, and I'm super bullish on this New Look Clash. I thought that was a great win. And then outside of that, if we're talking off-season, the best thing should we get into this now?
You can do whatever you want. Yeah, it's
All
the
right.
world, brother.
The best thing I saw this offseason was Kyle Larson winning his third Chili Bowl. We got some flack for saying he was the best driver in the world last season. And now, after winning this again, I think I can sleep well at night with that opinion of mine that Kyle Larson is the best driver in the world. He's proven it across a myriad of different motorsports, whether it be in the Chili Bowl or in the NASCAR Cup Series, on dirt. Wherever he goes, Kyle Larson seems to win. And I think that was just really cool thing to watch, given that we really didn't have much racing going on.
We still haven't gotten to one. That's a regret. That we still haven't gotten to a Chili Bowl. I'm not afraid of getting sick. Everyone talks about the Chili Bowl flu or whatever you get because you're inside, just sucking in dirt and diesel or whatever it is. But we still haven't gotten one. That's one of the things I regret from the offseason.
You know what we need to do?
What?
We need to get Chili's. Sponsor the Chili
I
Bowl.
pitched that.
Chili's
I said
Bowl.
the Chili's Bowl. I'm happy to go and shake it up, chop it up with the drivers,
That would be
and
a perfect sponsorship.
yeah, maybe next year or a future Chili Bowl will be there on behalf of Chili's. But that was the coolest thing I saw outside of NASCAR. And then alongside that, I think the Clash was a massive, massive success.
Yeah, they found the recipe. Like, it's way easier to just bring the race to somewhere where people are like dying to have a race than like go somewhere where nobody cares about it and be like, oh, we have this musical act, we have this and that. It's just like, just go have a race where people are dying to see a race.
I thought LA was always cool, but the race was never good.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think that Bowman Gray was any less cool, particularly for people who have never seen it before, than get to see the history or watch some of those races before the Clash, because they got a little bit violent, and all that stuff that people wanted from Bowman Gray, they got. So not only was it cool, the racing was very good. So there's no reason for them not to go back. I don't know if they should go back every year because there's so many of those tracks around the country. Give everybody a little bit of shine. But if you go into a rotation where you're going to have 3 different tracks for the Clash, I think Bowman Gray should be on there without any kind of question. Right?
Absolutely. And I think that and North Wilkesboro, seeing them kind of revitalized with NASCAR coming back to those tracks is beneficial for everyone. It's beneficial to the people of Winston-Salem who are, local to Bowman Gray, and then also the NASCAR fans. Like I mentioned, 40-something different states were represented with fans at the race from there. So it seems to be simultaneously attracting, people from far and wide while also paying homage to, historic NASCAR roots, which, as Quigg said, is a wonderful formula.
What do we got this season? So we have fun every goddamn season. Every season since we started doing this, Spider, Quiggs, and I, we still haven't gotten Quiggs to a race, which I'm okay with.
I
but
go
what
to
do we
races
have?
on my own.
I know. What do we have this season? What's on tap so far?
Well, there's 2 I'm very much looking forward to, and I'm sure I'm missing some of the races we're going to be attending. But first, obviously, you're watching this ahead of the Daytona 500. But after the Daytona 500, we'll be at Atlanta with Ryan Blaney and body armor driver Ryan Blaney. So I'm looking forward to that. Atlanta's race last year was incredible. It resulted in one of a few photo finishes that we saw. And I think the new look super speedway format at Atlanta Motor Speedway is also a great thing, and I'm tired of watching that on TV. So personally, I'm excited that we're going to be there in the flesh for that race with our good friend Ryan Blaney. And then after that, the other date I've got circled large, and I'm sure you do too, is Mexico City. Mm-hmm. We're taking the show international. We've long talked about NASCAR going international in whatever capacity, wherever that looks like. I think Jeff Gordon told us on his interview a couple years ago he would love to see NASCAR go back to Japan. Brad Keselowski told me he'd like to see NASCAR go to Australia when I rode along in the Chicago Street Course with him. And now Mexico City seems like a good first step. You know, it's still North America. It's relatively close compared to those other destinations that I mentioned. And I think it's going to be awesome. I've never been to Mexico City. I'm not even sure if I've been to Mexico, matter of fact. But either way, I think that's going to be great. And between those two events, that's really what I'm looking forward to.
I think we're flying into Miami, then we're shooting straight across the Gulf of America. Right to Mexico City. I don't know.
It might be named America City. But
yeah, it might be America City by that time. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where we're locked in now. So typically with Rubbin is Racing, we know what we're doing kind of beginning of the season, and then we find out what races we're going to as the season progresses. But we're doing Daytona and Atlanta back-to-back, as Spider had said. We're definitely going, we'll be at the street race because it's in your backyard. We'll be at Talladega. And I think Talladega, we're taking maybe like Mubi or something, right?
I think maybe Mubi and Smelly. And I also heard rumors that Chef Donnie might be there doing some sort of cooking content with the teams or the drivers. So that's something to look forward to as well.
Rico and Rico Bosco from the New York office, one of our gambling experts, and Jersey Jerry, who's also one of the big gambling guys here, both coming down with us to Daytona. So Jerry's going to come in and do a couple of picks with us later. So it's a big show. So other than a slightly new look for Rubbin is Racing, a new producer with Jacob, we got Bubba, we got Chase, we got Jersey Jerry coming up, and then breaking down Daytona and the whole goddamn thing. But before we move on from Bowman Gray, we'd like to give accolades on what people had done the week before. One of the ones that we're going to do probably every week is the Presidente pull-through, and it's brought to you by Chili's with their world-famous Presidente margarita. By the way, that shaker that they've given us,
iconic.
I love it.
I
love that goddamn thing.
They did send us 2 dozen, so if you got room in your suitcase, I'll
carry on.
Throw one on your bar cart when you get home.
Fantastic. Use a couple of gift certificates too while we're at it. But the whole idea behind the Presidente pull-through, Ride the Dente isn't just Chili's new euphemism for enjoying a world-famous Presidente margarita. It's a call to action to grab life by the Presidente shaker and have a good time living that Dente lifestyle. Whenever we do these clashes, we put them in places that traditional, super speedway guys, if you're used to super speedways, if you're used to intermediates, if you're used to short track racing, these things are the smallest that you're going to see. So they cut the field down to, I think, 23 drivers, right? So 23 drivers, we normally see 38, sometimes 40 like you'll get at a super speedway. They cut it down to only 23 drivers. And what we were supposed to see was absolutely no passing. We were supposed to see no passing. One guy had seen that. Everyone wasn't expecting no passing and said, go screw yourself. My name is Ryan Blaney. I'm starting dead last on 23rd, and I'm finishing second. I thought we were going to get a great shootout between him and Chase towards the end when they got caught up in lap traffic. Chase did dominate, led 171 of the 200 laps. But Ryan Blaney, clawing his way from 23rd to 2nd, is the perfect embodiment for our first episode with Chili's. He's the embodiment of the Presidente pull-through. So Ryan Blaney gets it. He's number one with a bullet in our eyes. So congratulations to Ryan Blaney. But moving on from Bowman Gray. And again, kudos to NASCAR, kudos to Bowman Gray and everybody who is involved with putting on the clash this year. I think it was a tremendous uptick from the years previous. But let's get into this season right now. We have a couple of people who are going to be walking away this season. One of them is FedEx. They showed us Denny's hauler without FedEx on it, and it looked naked. Yeah. I think they purposely did that as if to say, hey, listen, we have this real estate for the next person to come in. And I don't doubt that Denny will be able to replace FedEx. He also robbed King's Hawaiian Rolls from Brad K.
I saw that. Yeah.
Diabolical. Denny doesn't give a shit. Yeah. So we're going to see a couple things. Red Bull is back, and Red Bull had made the mistake of sponsoring an absolute loser like Shane Van Gisbergen. That guy is back, unfortunately, but they are coming back. Red Bull is doing a couple for Shane. They got...
They're also on Connor Zilich's car.
Connor Zilich's first race, which is going to be his debut at COTA. That's his Cup debut. So they're going to do that, and they're going to be sponsoring Shane Van Gisbergen for 5 races this season. We're going to talk about the cheeseburger a little bit in our predictions, and we're going to talk about him a little bit with Bubba and Chase Elliott. I'm going to continue the narrative that I fucking hate the
You're
guy,
doing
even
this again all
though he's
year?
one of the most talented drivers I've ever seen. He's also one of the nicest guys in the world. And if you put a gun to my head, he's actually pretty fucking handsome. Xfinity is walking away after this season as the title sponsor of that secondary series. So maybe they go back to one of the old, like Nationwide or Busch Series or something. Xfinity is still going to be intimately involved with NASCAR. They're going to be doing a bunch of other sponsorships within the complex, including this year. They're going to start and do the fastest lap. They're going to be giving out the fastest lap at every race on all three of the series. So Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup Series. Xfinity is going to be giving out the fastest lap. And along with the fastest lap, you're actually going to get a point, a season point, not a playoff point. So it doesn't mean nothing. It's not just another. I don't know how important it is because I'm assuming on most of these races, particularly some of the more boring races, not like what we're going to see here at Daytona, the leader is going to pull right? The person with the clean air is going to pull the fastest lap just about every time. But that remains to be seen, and that's something new that we're going to see this year.
Yeah, the traditionalists must hate that.
I think
that
so,
they're basically
right?
doing a sponsored segment that's like worth a point.
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I actually
But
like
it works. It's a good one to do, but like the fact that they're basically doing a sponsored point is crazy.
And I know we'll get into the gambling segment later on in this show, but one thing I loved is that DraftKings is including, one of the driver props is who will run the most fastest laps in the Daytona 500. So I have a pick for that that's coming later, but I think I'm personally pro this move. I think it's going to be a good little race within the race to watch, or another storyline to follow during the race.
And I like that it's not just an exodus for Xfinity, right? The title rights, there is a lot more involved with them just not being able to come up with the coin, or them, not being invested in NASCAR. But the Xfinity Series broadcasts on the CW. We're going to try to keep you guys updated every week on exactly where you need to be to watch these races, because the races are going to be broadcast on so many different platforms. It's going to confuse the shit out of old people like me. But the Xfinity Series, which they're the title sponsor of, will be racing on the CW, and Xfinity and CW do have some natural we don't like each other type thing. So it does make sense, and we'll still be seeing them within. I think one of the more interesting things, though, is that we're inching closer and closer to seeing a fourth OEM. Steve Phelps has been saying it forever, but he said that the level of talks has increased lately. So we have the opportunity to no longer just go to a racetrack and see Chevy, Ford, and Toyota. And the front runner to be that fourth OEM is Honda. How do you feel about that? If you want to talk about something that's going to have fucking old heads really steamed up, imagine they add Kia. I know they're talking to Hyundai, they're talking
Kia's
to
an
Kia,
option.
they're talking to Honda, they're talking to all these different places.
Did you say Cadillac the other day?
Cadillac is potentially buying some of Rick Hendrick's land in North Carolina for their F1 program.
Okay, never mind.
I would love to see them come into NASCAR as well, but I don't know if there's, that is just the Chevy GM kind of, they're already accounted for by way of Chevy and GM in the sport. Either way, I'll start. I guess for me, I would welcome whatever additional OEMs to the sport. I think, it's a good thing that people want to come in, and other brands, manufacturers, car companies are investing in NASCAR. To me, that's, again, more reason to be encouraged by the growth and the trajectory that NASCAR's on. And Steve Phelps had to preface, as you said, Large, he said this several times before, but to me, this feels like the closest we've been that I can remember. There's other people on Twitter mentioning that NASCAR has added a torque sensor in the rule book, which would be a significant step towards possibly allowing new engine types, which could potentially lead to a new OEM. That's what Bozy, forgive me if I'm mispronunciating that, said on Twitter. And that, to me, is literal. If they're changing the rule book and the cars themselves, the engineering within, to potentially make way for a new OEM, that's a great sign. And I really personally don't care which brand it is that comes in. But I think, right now we're in a position where, let's say one of the three existing, Chevy, Ford, or Toyota, what if one of them left? Then you just have...
That is true.
You have two manufacturers. So I don't care who it is. I'd welcome a fourth and potentially even a fifth with open arms, regardless of their reputation or the cars they create for the the average civilians.
Particularly if Justin Marks is involved. Like
Well-
if they come in and it all of a sudden goes to like teams that don't have chances winning, like they just, which I'm sure it's going to take a little while to get ingratiated into such a stodgy place like NASCAR. But if you get like a disruptor like him to say, fuck it, I'm going to run the Kias.
So
I think that's a good thing. Like
that
people will
would
buy a
be-
Kia shirt.
That would be the first team I would look at. If I'm a new manufacturer and coming into the sport, I would call up Trackhouse and try to align with them. I don't know if you guys have a different opinion on which team would be best for a potential new
I think it's
OEM.
perfect.
I think
Trackhouse is like not an experimental team, but they feel like they're doing things differently than every other team.
they're like basically trailblazers.
Yeah.
They throw out the kind of traditional history of how NASCAR teams operate, and they're doing things their own way. So I think they could really benefit from potential fourth or even fifth new OEM coming to the sport. And I think, rising tides lift all ships. I think that would be great for the sport overall.
One of the things you're going to see this season, too, is you're going to see a lot more of the drivers' personalities. It's no secret that NASCAR is asking drivers, maybe even incentivizing them, to do a lot more stuff like we saw with Chase and Bubba a couple of weeks here, and you're going to see in a couple of minutes when they come in. So I think we're going to have the opportunity to screw around with it. I think we're going to get the opportunity maybe to go down to Trackhouse, get to see there, get down to 2311. By the way, I made a phone call the other day. I'm doing this food stuff, right? You got to try this. That's a plug.
Watch
And we always want to do stuff with NASCAR drivers. And within the complex of NASCAR, I spoke to Richard Childress's winery because it's right outside of Charlotte, and they have two sandwiches on the menu, one Ty Dillon's and one Austin Dillon's. I thought it'd be kind of cool if we went down there and we're doing something else in and around that, jump out to the winery and see, who's got the better, you know what I
That's
mean?
music
that's
to my
the
ears.
shit that we're going to do,
Large, one of the best trips we ever went on with NASCAR was to Sonoma, a place I had never previously been. We went there, we did the winery tours, and we also caught a great road race. And that was, a fantastic trip, probably one of my favorites that we've been lucky to go on. This sounds like the East Coast version of that. Granted, it wouldn't be, it'd be an oval, but I would love to do that.
I just floated it out there to our good friend Paul Swan because we were just kind of chatting, and he's like, "Oh, let me ask somebody from it. I don't know if the young lady wants her name out." And she'd call me back within a couple hours, and she's like, "Yeah, Richard will be here. Normally he's here on Mondays and Tuesdays." I was like, "No, we don't need to have Childress, but we kind of do.
Yeah.
Like if I'm sitting down with, what did Austin call him? Like Paw,
Pawpaw?
something, right? Yeah,
Pawpaw?
me, Spider, Paw, eating the Austin Dillon and the Ty Dillon. One's a chicken sandwich, one's a burger or something like that. I'd fuck with that.
I'll
be
try them
great.
both.
Yeah. We're throwing down some earthy, chewy cabs or whatever Richard Childress Wineries has to offer. So we're going to try to do a bunch of shit this season on top of going to the races. Like I said, we have 4 on tap in the books right now. We'll probably add another 4 or 5 of those by the end of the season. Chase Elliott wins at Bowman Gray. We already mentioned that. This is my first question of the season for you guys. Maybe it's not my first, but let's just cut it as such. Is Chase Elliott back? What's the expectations now? I'm bulled up on the guy, but I like the guy. I don't like Chase Elliott the way some people do, right? They live and breathe this guy. Obviously, he's the most popular driver, blah, blah, blah. Is Chase Elliott back? He's now relegated to being the third best out of 4 guys who drive for Hendrick Motorsports. Does that change this season with Chase Elliott? How do you feel about Chase going into the full Cup Series season?
I think he's going to be way back this year.
Back.
I had a thing all last year that Chase was up, like his based off points. He was always up at the top, and I was like, it doesn't feel like he's having that good of a season. And if he was doing that last year, when it felt like, at least to me, that he wasn't as competitive as I thought he would be, I think this year he could easily win the regular season, like pretty easily. So
he got hot at the right time. He'll say it in the interview later on. He did get hot at the right time. But before he got hot, we were saying how much of a fucking disappointment it was.
Yeah.
And then to see him into the playoffs and make a run in the playoffs somewhat was refreshing, and it seemed like the old Chase Elliott was coming back. Then to put the nail in the coffin a little bit and win the first race of the year, even though it was whatever, it doesn't count points wise, I think is a good sign. But what are you expecting then from him? We'll do over-unders on a couple of people. We'll talk about Chase in particular right now. What do you expect over-under Chase Elliott if I set the over-under at 3.5?
I would take
wins
the
this
over.
season?
I would
You
take the over. I'm expecting a massive year from Chase Elliott. Not to tip any of my predictions here, but I think it's going to be Chase back in his prime almost. We saw even last year, which appeared at surface value kind of like a down year with one win. He still had 19 top 10s, 11 top 5s, and his third highest, or third lowest, I guess, average finish of his 9-year Cup career. So by all metrics, I think it was a great year for him, and I think we can expect him to build on that and take it a step further. I'm super encouraged by what I've seen from Chase Elliott in the second half of last season, as well as obviously the Clash. But given an exhibition race, it's easy to have recency bias or feel some type of way after watching that. But I think Chase Elliott has been one of the best drivers in the sport for a long time, and I think he kind of reclaims that throne again this year. I would expect him to be either number 1 at Hendrick or number 2 at the conclusion of this season.
So that's a big prediction. I know we're going to do some predictions, but saying that he's going to be number 1 in Hendrick means that what's a given for just about everyone, that Kyle Larson is going to be dominant again this season. That would mean that doesn't happen. Like, he's right now competing with William Byron for that second spot, right? So the second spot's a given as far as you're concerned, and then Kyle Larson better watch his ass as well.
Yeah, I think Chase jumps William Byron this year.
Mm-hmm. So who's the most underrated going into 2025? If I had to ask you right now, I have one.
Of HMS or any driver?
No, of any driver. So I think that Chase Elliott can often be an overrated driver because of the love that the public gives him. That's just a given. So then he comes and finishes 7th next year. Finished 7th last year, wins the exhibition race, and now people are saying that he has the opportunity to win it all this year, right?
Yeah, for me, the one that comes into my mind is fellow Chili's driver Carson Hocevar. I was really encouraged by what we saw from him last year in his rookie year, skipping Xfinity Series, jumping straight from trucks to Cup Series. It looked like he didn't even need those Xfinity reps that he didn't even have. But I was really encouraged. It looked like he might have needed more time, and instead he just kind of continued to surprise me week after week with good performances. And that might not always have been reflected by his finishing position, but if you actually watch the races, it looked like Carson Hocevar had a lot more experience than a guy that had limited looks in Xfinity and only a couple races experience in the Cup Series. He was very impressive from what I saw, and I think I look to him to build on that into season 2 full time on the Cup Series.
I have a feeling I might steal yours because I know you like this guy a lot. Chris Buescher. Was that yours or no?
No, mine's Gilliland.
I just think there were times last year when Buescher looked like he was a top 5 driver.
Yeah.
Like skill wise and how he was racing, and I think it's going to be a big year for him. I think he's going to show out this year. And he's plus 4,000.
He's getting better, right?
Yes.
So he's not finally, but I think he's getting the respect he deserves. Obviously, we spoke about him a lot when we were wondering whether or not he was going to punch Tyler Reddick in the face last season and whatnot. So he's been involved in some of the most exciting finishes in the history of NASCAR. So I think it's a good pick. I don't know why, but I'm very high on this Front Row Motorsports lineup going into this season. Yep. So much so I'm thinking about buying a T-shirt. I like Gilliland. You guys know that Noah Gragson is big, within, just this room. There's nothing that Noah can do that's bad with us. And I think he's one of those guys. And then Zane Smith. I think Zane Smith is a good pickup for those guys. So that lineup to me is something that I'm expecting a lot from, and I don't know if everybody else is. Buescher's going to continue to build on his strength, right? Yeah. I'm certainly hoping. But I went through all those drivers, every driver in the Cup Series, and how many races I thought they were going to win versus how many races that are actually going to be run. And man, I'm way out. You know what I mean? Because I'm giving Brad Kay a couple, like the whole deal.
I like I like both of our picks. No offense, Quigs. Obviously, Chris Buescher. But my thing is with Chris Buescher is he's already had, a lot of success at the highest level.
So you think mine's just not a low enough level guy?
I think
It's not a hot enough take.
Yeah.
That's
We
Quiggs.
need
He
a
plays it safe, though.
we need a spicier take from Quiggs. But no, I think Chris Buescher has proven he has spot in the Cup Series, winning back-to-back races previously. Whereas I'm like Large. I want to see these young guys win for the first time, whether that's Todd Gilliland, Noah Gragson, or my pick Carson Hocevar, who looked extremely promising last season. But the beauty of this season is I think we're going to have a lot, maybe not a lot, but we'll definitely have a couple first-time winners from my perspective.
What about a first-time champion? Who's got the best shot to be a first-time NASCAR Cup Series champion? Listen, so the obvious is Denny Hamlin.
Yeah.
The second most obvious, I think, is Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell has, I don't know what it is with Christopher Bell's agent, but he's doing a very good job in the offseason. Treating it like this guy gets no respect. So Christopher Bell, William Byron, Tyler Reddick, or Denny Hamlin. Those are the four that I think would probably be the most popular if you were to ask what first-time driver is going to win a championship this year. So I'm giving you those four guys. Denny, Chris Bell, Tyler Reddick, and William Byron. Who has the best chance at? Do you agree that those four guys would definitely be the top four?
I think that's the
right.
four.
Yeah.
Anyone could fucking win. That's not true. But out of anyone who could win, those are probably the top four first timers. Who do you think has the best chance?
I'll go first, and my pick is Tyler Reddick. We saw him regular season champion last year. He's proven himself at a lot of different styles of tracks, whether it be super speedway wins, which we saw at Talladega, and then making the Final Four last season. The championship four was massive. Granted, it didn't go his way, but he would probably be my pick out of those four. It's also, I'm of the opinion, Joe Gibbs Racing has a lot of horses in the race, if you will. Two of the guys you mentioned that were not named Tyler Reddick were drivers for Joe Gibbs, and Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell. Denny, I'm going to fade because, we've seen enough from him, and there seems to be some sort of obstacle, whether it be God, whether it be who knows what, preventing him from winning a championship.
Too this year,
Yeah. And Christopher Bell being a teammate of his, I just think there's too many moving parts at Joe Gibbs Racing right now. You have, you're not a rookie anymore, but you have Ty Gibbs who's still trying to kind of find his footing, and then you now welcome a new driver in Chase Briscoe into the flesh over there. They have four cars that are going to be competitive week after week after week. Not a shot at Bubba Wallace or Riley Herbst, who are on, Tyler Reddick's teammates at 2311, but I think that 2311's best shot at winning a championship is clear, and it's clearly Tyler Reddick, whereas he might get some more of the attention, more of the resources, the best of what 23 has to offer in pursuit of their championship efforts. That's why, for me, I'm taking Tyler Reddick, but I want to hear what you guys have to say.
I think Tyler Reddick is a great pick. But I think any of these guys, their success is starts and finishes with the ability to keep Penske out of Phoenix, right? That's where I think
there's
it
a world
comes down
where
to.
The four names you said could be the Final Four.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
That's not unrealistic.
That would be awesome.
What would be the fifth? Is it Cindric? Because
who's
of
next on that
yeah,
list?
just because of how Penske has sort of owned the playoff system, and they seem to do it better than anyone else, and the proof is in the pudding with the past 3 championships.
Give me Mark Martin as the fifth.
Give you Mark Martin, just fill in the fucking.
I don't know who that fifth would be.
And nobody mentions Byron. One of Byron's reps reached out to me yesterday saying, "Would you like him before the first Rubbin is racing?" I had to politely decline because we already had that thing, and I said, "Plus, we'll get him during one of his 5 wins during the season." But nobody mentions Byron as the guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, William Byron is another good pick. I don't mean to discredit any of these guys. I mean, Daytona 500 championship 4 appearance.
Inadvertently, you did insult him, though.
I mean, I'm sure Denny's going to hear this and be like, why didn't you, what I mean? Why didn't you pick
Denny.
me?
You'll take Denny?
Yeah. Shout out Denny.
Thanks.
Yeah. I don't know. You can't go wrong with any of them. They're clearly 4 of the most deserving that don't have, the Cup Series championship to show for it. So I would honestly be content if any of those 4 lifted the Bill France Cup this year.
He's not picking Bell, right? Because there's something with you.
Yes. And I don't even know what it is. But there's something that Christopher Bell, which he absolutely should not, just rubs me the wrong way.
I know. Yeah, he doesn't rub anyone the wrong way.
I know, and he
Yeah.
doesn't. He's never done anything. I just like. I don't know.
Yeah, what do you mean he's never done anything? This is a guy
No,
that
he's never done anything that
No,
should
to
make me
make you-
dislike him.
Oh, okay.
Make you
He's
not
such a
respect
nice,
him.
quiet guy.
Part of
but I
it
don't know,
seems that you
pisses me
think
off.
something's going to go wrong too.
Yes, he
Like
also
his
yeah.
brakes will blow up in St. Louis, or something like that. That'll keep him out.
I think Christopher Bell has probably got it. He probably would be my second pick, to be honest. I'm looking at him from the perspective of a guy that made the championship 2 years ago, and then in 2024 pretty much had that, feel any type of way, whatever side you're on, whether you were Team Byron or Team Bell, as things got controversial there at the end. But he's a guy that has been right there deep in the playoffs for, several years. So I think he's knocking on the door, and he's still pretty young, and I think his time is coming. And I wouldn't be surprised if it comes this year, next year, in the next couple of years here.
I would love to see Denny win a championship.
Yeah.
Have
I
a
think
baby.
it happens this year.
Congratulations to them. They're pregnant with a
Yep.
kid.
That would
So,
be awesome. I would love to. Obviously, I'm not rooting against Denny. I'm just saying the history of it's leads me to believe there might be other drivers that would win before him.
I'm looking forward to the season. This was the first year that when I start to see those memes posted, Dale Earnhardt, Super Bowl Sunday? You mean the week before Daytona? Like, it's the first time I had forwarded one of those along. I didn't have a horse in the race, the Super Bowl, so I really didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
And, I'm not even a huge Kendrick fan. So it was one of those things where I'm actually itching to get it on.
I hit my girlfriend with that this weekend. I didn't hit my girlfriend.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hold on.
Yeah, can you clip that?
But she goes, first Sunday without football. What are we gonna do Sunday? I said,
Get ready to learn NASCAR.
hey buddy, it's Daytona 500 weekend.
We got a ton of not new faces, but we got people with different numbers, and it's fucking with me when I'm watching these races. Allmendinger back up in the Cup Series driving the 16. Welcome back to the Dinger. Noah in the 4 is weird to see.
Yeah.
Love seeing Justin Haley's in that Chili's number 7. Not that anything against Corey LaJoie, but Justin looks very good, as I'm sure Haley is very excited about it. Justin Haley's wife is first name Haley, so her name is Haley. Seeing Riley Herbst in the 35, Shane Van Cheeseburger in the 88, Zane in the 38, Ryan Preece in the 60 is going to be weird. Michael McDowell, 71, Todd Gilliland in the 34, Ty Dillon in the 10 for Kaulig, and most of all, Chase Briscoe taking over for Martin Truex in the iconic 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing. So a lot of new faces, a lot of exciting stuff this whole season, and we're going to be all over it every week, including topics like this. Somebody sent me an email. I've never gotten an email, I don't believe, from this young lady before, and she's saying that NASCAR doesn't care about females having orgasms. So I'm going to talk about it right fucking now. Where the hell is it? Did you hear this, or is this the first time you're hearing about it?
This? No, I don't.
NASCAR. I want to follow up with you on below. Are you in Daytona this week? All right, so Womanizer, a leading brand in women's sexual wellness, recently sought to sponsor a driver for NASCAR's 2025 racing season. Despite NASCAR's history of accepting sponsorships from male sexual health brands such as Viagra, Extends, Gainswave, Womanizer's proposal was declined. This isn't just about sponsorship rejection. This is about addressing a larger cultural bias, said someone named Verena Singman, head of PR for Womanizer. If NASCAR has previously accepted brands that cater to to men's intimacy and performance, why is female pleasure where they draw the line?
It's
I think I'm going to stick up for NASCAR here and say I didn't know that women could have orgasms. So there's no way that I would have taken this seriously, right? So it's just one of those things that we have. So thoughts on that, Spider? Thoughts on a woman's right to finish and why NASCAR isn't supporting it, and if you're going to do anything about it, because I just got a follow-up email from this young lady saying that they're going to have a billboard outside of Daytona and asking if I want to be in front of the mobile billboard. Probably going to say no to that, but how do you feel about a woman's right to finish?
I don't have any thoughts on this, really.
You're going to pass on that one?
I'm going to pass on this topic.
Okay.
I mean, I think NASCAR is for everyone, whether you're a guy, girl, whatever. Everyone can enjoy the racing, and that's really all I got.
Quiggs, are you going to be a coward also and not comment on the fact that women should have a little bit more respect and we should pay attention to their needs?
Yeah, let's get them in NASCAR.
Damn
I
right.
got nothing against it, you know.
So as far as we're concerned, Spider's the only sexist one within the Rubbin is racing guys.
No comment.
FedEx is gone. Red Bull is back. I had mentioned it. We're going to get into the interview in just one second. But before that, we're going to do a couple of predictions. We're going to do a couple of predictions. We do this every year. Quiggs actually writes them down somewhere. And every year, we're generally very wrong. I think I might have done best.
You did the best
year.
last year.
I think last year I might have done the
I
best.
think maybe you got 2 right.
Which isn't saying much. So I'm going to ask everyone for predictions going into this season. I'm going to start with you, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Spider?
that's fine. I kind of tipped mine before, so I'll just kind of finish what I was saying. I think Chase Elliott has 3+ wins this year and makes a deep playoff run. To answer the question you raised before, I think he's completely back. Again, it might be recency bias because he was the first winner, and I'm kind of, a front runner in that regard. Fair weather fan, as Denny Hamlin called me. But no, I think Chase Elliott will have a massive, massive year. I'm not going to say championship 4, but I would not be surprised if he is the one in the championship 4 or lifting the Bill France trophy at the conclusion of this season. I think he's got as good of a shot as anyone, including his teammate Kyle Larson and William Byron for that matter. While I'm in the name of chases.
So that production, Chase Elliott wins 4 races.
Well, I said 3 plus 3.
3.5 was the over-under. You took the over. Do you want to take that to 3?
I'm going to say 3 because you guys are going to mark this as a loss when he wins 3 races. If I take,
you gotta
have,
take the half.
You gotta have something we can mark as a loss and win. Not just Chase is gonna do pretty good this year.
And then I have Chase Briscoe in the name of chases over 1.5 wins. I think he has a multi-win season for Joe Gibbs in his first, effort in the Toyotas again with Joe Gibbs. And then while I'm also talking Joe Gibbs and Toyotas,
Before we move on from Chase Briscoe, do you think that he's, as far as this season is concerned, because we haven't started the season yet, is he in the hottest seat of hot seats?
I don't think so.
I think if he has a stinker of a season, they want him out. Like, he's going to be the one that's getting the most.
Whose seat's hotter?
Yeah.
Sitting into the,
I think so. I think they're going to be like, he doesn't deserve that 19 car. He's going out there finishing whatever. I think, if he does bad, I think he'll, maybe other than a guy in the 48 car, but
I
think it would be him if he has I don't think he will have a bad season.
Right.
And
hoping
if
he
he does good, obviously if you do good, you're not going to be on the hot seat. But if he doesn't do anything in that car, I think somebody's going to want it.
Quiggs is kind of right as much as I disagree with him. I look back to Daniel Suarez and Eric Jones previously driving for Joe Gibbs Racing, and those guys are 2 guys that I respect a lot now, but they seem to have, put up or shut up kind of contract at Joe Gibbs, and both have been shown the door since then. I hope it's not the same for Chase Briscoe, but I think he will be successful. I think he was the best driver on his team last year from my perspective and the most desirable of the free agents. I know we raised that question last year, but I hate to just plagiarize someone else's take. I think Chris Wormy on Twitter, one of NASCAR's gambling minds, made a really good point. And I think Chase Briscoe's job security is in correlation with Ty Gibbs' success. If Ty Gibbs wins 0 races and Chase wins 1, I think Chase will be fine. I think Chase, for Chase, all he has to do is just perform better than Ty Gibbs, which who's to say that that's something that's all he has to do, that's an easy thing to do. I think Ty Gibbs is equally as talented and suited for success given where he's at with Joe Gibbs.
Would you say that they expect more from Chase Briscoe jumping into Truex's car than they did for Josh Berry jumping into Harvick's car? It seems that way to me.
I would.
Yeah.
And Chase Briscoe, we're talking about a guy that got a win last year in a team that we pretty much wrote off that was in the process of, doing garage sale and selling off their team. So I'm pretty bullish on Chase Briscoe. I think he gets over 1.5 wins, multi-win season for Chase Briscoe. And then while I'm in the name of Joe Gibbs, I'm also going to take Ty Gibbs to get his first win. I don't know where. I think Ty Gibbs makes the playoffs this season. and I'm gonna say over half a win for Ty Gibbs.
Does he get it before his 100th race, which I think so that's the measuring stick, right? Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and then we saw it with Harrison Burton. They all got it before, very close to the 100th, like 98th, 99th race.
Yeah.
I believe Ty Gibbs has his 100th race coming up, and I'll firm it up beginning of May, late April, early May. Think he gets it that early? It's a long season.
I don't want to make a prediction on when it
Okay.
comes, but I think he will get a win this season.
Okay, fair enough.
And it will probably be right around that 100 race kind of threshold, which seems to be the case for a lot of drivers, as you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
The following one I have is not as much a prediction, more of a demand. I don't know how. I just found out Mark Martin is not in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. We saw some great interviews and great speeches, particularly by Carl Edwards, and I saw NASCAR fans, celebrating that. But can we give Mark Martin his flowers? Like, what? That is insane to me. He's not a Hall of Fame driver. I think he's at the top of my list in terms of guys that are deserving, and let's make that happen. If we need to use this podcast as a platform to air those takes off until they finally do it, I will be leading that charge. Mark Martin should be a Hall of Famer.
Agreed.
It's not a prediction, that's an opinion. Back to predictions.
That's a demand.
Yeah, that's a demand. You're right. The final two predictions I have are not in the Cup Series. I'm going to give you the Xfinity Series champion, in my opinion, as well as the Truck Series championship winner, in my opinion. So in Xfinity, I'm taking Connor Zilisch, who I believe is about 7-1 on DraftKings to win. Yeah. To win the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He's another young prospect, and he's probably the number one prospect in all of NASCAR right now. He's got great equipment with JRM. He's got good sponsorship backing him, and he seems to have a lot of hype, and I'm of the opinion this hype is justified. I think Connor Zilisch is going to do big things this season, and for that reason, I will be taking him 7-1.
He might get a Cup win this year.
Yeah, 7-1 to win the NASCAR Xfinity Series championship. And I feel pretty good about that, to be honest. In the name of predicting championships in the Truck Series, I'm going with Front Row Motorsport, another team you said you were bullish on.
Yeah.
I think they have two great horses driving for them this year. Chandler Smith, a guy who was pretty much a staple in the Xfinity Series, has since been demoted to the Truck Series. And I think he's going to be in a great spot this year. He's a hungry young kid, and taking a step back and going back to the Truck Series, I think will be extremely beneficial for him. I think he could do really, really well. And then alongside him, you've got his teammate in 2024 Truck Series Rookie of the Year, Lane Riggs. And I think between both of them, I think they're both around 4.5, 5.5 to 1 to win the Truck Series championship. Those are the guys I'm rocking with, and I'm going to be pulling hard for Front Row, not only in Cup, but also with their truck efforts. And I like pretty much every driver that drives for them, whether it be Zane, Noah, Todd, and then you have both Lane and Chandler driving the trucks for them. So, yeah, they've got a great crew, and it also seems like they seem to be P1 in terms of, like, team chemistry. All these guys hang out outside of the track together, and they're like friendly with each other. I got a FaceTime the other day from Noah Gregson. He was at his apartment hanging out with Zane Smith, and they were like, "Where's Jersey Jerry? Put Jersey Jerry on."
Oh, really? Right.
They didn't want you. They just wanted Jersey Jerry.
But no, so I mean, maybe that's why Jerry's coming to the 500 with us this year, so I can introduce him to those guys. But my point is, it seems like there's true, genuine chemistry that they're building with that team. Zane Smith, again, on the Cup Series, he's a guy that did pretty well for them in the Truck Series for the same team, now returning to them, driving for them in the Cup Series. I think top to bottom, that's a really easy team to root for, and I think big things, particularly a championship from them between both drivers, or either driver in the Truck Series.
So Front Row, one of the two drivers winning the Truck Series.
Yep.
And then Connor Zilisch winning the Xfinity Series, the whole series. These are futures. Chase Elliott, 3 wins.
Yep.
At least 3 wins. You're demanding Mark Martin get in the Hall of Fame, just like I'm demanding NASCAR recognize a woman's right to finish. What was the other one? Those are the
Chase
3.
Briscoe, multi-win season.
Multi-win Chase.
And then Ty Gibbs to make the playoffs and get his first
Ty Gibbs
win.
to get a win. That's 5.
Point.
Those are 5. Collectively, let's keep those in mind to see how risky they are compared to other ones. Because sometimes if you don't hit them, But you know what I mean?
What do
Like
you-
you're putting one's way out there. You know?
What did you think my hottest take was out of those
I'm
predictions?
trying to think of what the hottest take there is, because in the truck series, you do have two favorites, right? With shorter, odd guys around there. But anyone can win, and I'm an in-finger guy, so whatever. I like that. Zilich winning it all is kind of hot, right?
guess.
Chase winning 3 and other Chase winning multiple, so winning at least 2. I think they're all
Reasonable?
They're all beyond middle of the road for heat. I don't think mine are as hot.
Okay.
I could say that. That's why, like, you can't know until you compare.
Well, let's
You know
go
what
to
I'm
yours
saying?
then, and I'll
Right
tell
to
you.
mine?
I might have the hottest one, so we can save mine for last.
Right.
All right.
Like, if I was to say that Shane Van Gisbergen is going to be Rookie of the Year, that's the coldest take ever, right? Like, he has a very good chance. But I'm saying that his first win in the Cup Series will not be on a road course. I think that's a hot take.
Oh yeah.
I would say
Right?
that's very
I
hot
was
take.
impressed with the way he handled himself down at Bowman Gray. I think he's just getting better.
Yeah.
He's getting better everywhere. I don't know if it's necessarily a super speedway, which is everyone's best chance to win a race, you know, where you can get guys who buck the trend. I just think that guy, and you know, I'm reluctant to say this, I just think he's getting better at everything.
Yeah, he
So
really is.
Rookie of the Year is not my call, but I'm saying that Shane gets a win on a non-road course this season. That's I don't know how hot or not
First
that is.
or in general?
I don't know, because
go with
I
in-
could
I
just
think-
say
I
in
think
general it's a
it's
no.
still a hot take.
Yeah.
You said your takes were not as hot. I would say that is way hotter than anything I pitched.
But you see, I went from cold to hot. Rookie of the Year, winning it first, to just winning one, you know?
I mean, I agree that Shane has impressed me on ovals, and I think he's done a great job of learning and learning at a clip that's very impressive for a 35-year-old rookie. It seems like he's picked it up very quick, whether it be at the Clash or some of these other ovals, even super speedways. But to me, he was hired for his prowess on road courses. For that reason, I'm gonna have to disagree with that take. I would say that's pretty hot.
That's pretty hot, right?
It's pretty hot.
I'll take
Also, who's to say Riley Herbst, a super speedway? He's pretty good on super speedways. Who's to say he doesn't steal a super speedway race and maybe win the Rookie of the Year if SVG goes winless?
That's
I
that's
think
why we
that's-
make these calls. So you're saying that I'm the hottest physically and with these picks so far.
Not
right now.
physically,
Okay, all
but
right, here we go.
with the picks,
Right.
yeah.
My second one is that 3 out of the 4 SHR drivers that shut down last year get wins this season.
Which three?
3 out of the 4.
That
I don't
doesn't-
have to call it.
Yeah, no.
I don't have to say. So we got Priest,
Noah.
Noah, Josh Berry, and Chase Briscoe. I think everyone would say 2 out of those will get a win, possibly. I'm saying that we get 3. Maybe Noah slides in Vegas or something.
I'll tell
I
you
think
what.
Priest has got a shot to win one. I think Josh Berry can always be in the mix. He's a talented driver until he decides to. Wasn't he the guy that was taking out every foreign driver last year? Josh Berry was a menace.
Yeah.
I think it
last
was
year.
him.
Yeah. So I think Josh Berry has the opportunity. I'm saying 3 out of the 4 former SHR drivers are going to win a race this year.
Real quick, I'm pretty sure Josh Berry went to high school with Taylor Swift.
I didn't know that. I
But
did know.
anyways, what I was going to say in the name of this prediction, I think both Ryan Preece and Noah Gragson could win this weekend at the Daytona 500. Noah's impressed me on super speedways, and then Ryan Preece moving over to RFK with their new equipment. I think his odds are shorter than I thought they would be to win the Daytona 500 this year on DraftKings at least. So I don't think that one's that hot.
My coldest of my 3 predictions, I'm only going to throw 3 out there, is that no one's retiring. We started the show a couple of years ago, so we went through the Kurt Busch is leaving, Kevin Harvick, kind of Amarola, and then the Martin Truex, sort of those victory laps that we get every year. Denny Hamlin's 44. Brad Keselowski's 41 or 42. Kyle Busch is slowly climbing up on 40 years old. None of those guys are leaving. And a lot of people are assuming that if Kyle Busch doesn't do well, this could be his last season. Other people saying he's holding on to be, race with his son or whatever that bullshit is, that Bronny thing. Yeah. I say that we're going to get no retirement announcements in Cup Series drivers this season.
Full-time Cup Series drivers.
Full-time Cup Series drivers.
I was going to say I could see Jimmy Johnson maybe
Yeah.
You know,
not doing it
finally.
anymore? That would be smart.
Also, correction, Josh Berry and Taylor Swift did not go to high school together. They did not go to the same high school. They both are from Sumner County, Tennessee, however. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
Doxter.
Yeah, I would have went with it.
She probably got a lawsuit against me now.
Exactly. Spider says Josh Berry banged her at prom. So those are my three. No one's retiring. SHR guys winning at least one race, and SVG winning on something. He could win every road course. I really don't care. I think I also see him winner circle at a non-road course. Quiggs, you're the last one. Go.
Okay. I will probably have the worst predictions when we look back at them, but they might be the boldest. We'll start with Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch goes winless again this season.
Oh,
No
it's a
wins.
heartbreak.
Frustrating, terrible season, which wouldn't be good for you. That the most likely for him to retire is if he sucks again.
What do you blame that on? You blame it on RCR? You blame it on him? What do you blame it on?
The combo of it.
Okay.
The equipment being a little bit worse and him just mentally not being able to handle that and it making him race worse than if he just had a clear head with
You
the
don't
equipment
think-
that he's in.
Maybe age has anything to do with it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but not really.
He's not 40.
No.
I mean, he's nowhere near the oldest driver. That's Denny.
Yeah.
Brad's older than him. I mean, he's 39.
I think it's just he's so used to winning and he's been so bad that he's in a funk that we'll probably see quickly whether that funk's going to be there. Maybe he had a good off season and he'll be back, but that's prediction number one. Prediction number two, probably my least wild one, would be Chase Elliott wins the regular season, not the
So the Tyler Reddick from last year type
Yeah.
thing?
Honestly, that's what I should have summed my take up on
I
as.
think he'll maybe run away with that. And then alongside that, Hendrick will win 33% of the races this year.
Hendrick will account for a third of
12
all
wins.
races.
Yep.
Really?
I think combined they'll get 12. I think they are going to dominate and just almost be in an internal competition to see who can get the most wins out of there.
Well, let's see. I mean, so does everyone think that Byron gets another 4 wins?
Yep. I think
Does
he'd get
everyone
3,
think that
4.
Chase gets 2 or 3? So that gets us up to 7. Does Bowman get 1?
Let's give him 1.
So that's 8. And then Kyle Larson
I
do
could
4.
see
People are
Larson-
saying that Larson's going to maybe sweep all the crown jewels, which I don't see, right? I don't see him. I'd like to bet against Larson finishing at Daytona this week, but I can't. But
I could see Chase and Larson alone combining for 9 or 10 wins this season.
dominant.
Yeah.
So, yep, 33%.
So
And
give me.
then
So what else do you have?
one last one, which this is my worst one. It's just not going to happen. Ty Gibbs in the championship 4.
Whoa,
Yeah, that one's spicy.
Yeah.
that's spicy.
I mean, I would love to see it. That would
I'm
be great.
so much higher than I should be on Ty Gibbs. I was last year. I still am. I think one day he's gonna hit something and just be one of the guys that could win any race. And I don't know. I think that could be this year. We'll see. But championship 4 for Ty Gibbs.
That shouldn't be a spicy take because he's a talented driver and good equipment.
Yeah.
But that's the spiciest of your takes.
Yeah, he hasn't had a win yet, and I'm putting him in the championship 4.
Somebody had said their prediction was that Hocevar would get a win before Ty.
Ooh.
Yeah, so
That's a
let's.
spicy take.
That's-
What do you guys think? Who wins first, Carson Hocevar or Ty Gibbs?
I guess I'll be Ty Gibbs.
You have to be because you have him in the
I can't go
championship.
Hocevar for that answer.
I don't know. I mean, Hocevar could be an absolute fucking menace too, right? You know, he sort of had his. Some people say John Hunter, Rekachek, or Ricky Spinhouse. Hocevar should get one of those too because when he's in a mood to be a menace, he can be a menace. I like him. Oh, we're going to be with him in just a couple of days. And he also comments every week on Jeff Gluck's poll. He's got like real good sense of humor. We played kickball with him.
Yep.
He's he's a tall drink of water, Carson Hocevar.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know. I think I like Gibbs to get his win before Hocevar.
Okay, following up. I know Quig's answer to this. Ty Gibbs or Chase Briscoe, who wins more this season?
Yeah, Chase Briscoe.
I'm taking Chase Briscoe as well, based on my predictions.
I'll
I
take
think
Ty. I made my own bed.
Yeah.
I got to stick with it. But
Yeah.
How about this wild take? Somebody had said Joey Logano, returning champion, doesn't win a single race this year. because of the way he got into. You remember he got into the playoffs after all that shit went down with AD. Joey Logano not winning a race, or Joey Logano not making the playoffs this year after winning it all last year.
I don't think so.
I think he'll definitely
That's a spicy
win a race.
take, though.
I think
Yeah, so do
definitely.
I. And yes, Joey's going to win every race.
Yeah,
He'll
Yeah,
win
floating around.
whatever race. I have a guy that I put a bet in, and I'm about to win it. Logano will come and win that race. He always steals my wins.
One of the things we try to do every week, we did it last year too, was try to just pick out somebody who did something extremely cool before we'd come on air. Spider had mentioned earlier how cool it was to see Larson win the Chili Bowl.
Yep.
Right? I mean, I think that
his
guy
third
is just
Chili Bowl win.
proving himself to be the best driver in the world. Needs to get his priorities straight and stop running IndyCar. But if we had to do this, the Ride the Dente Award, right? Like somebody who decided to like do a little something extra to kind of give us something to talk about, which I think it's what we want every week. We want somebody to do that extra thing. So we've given out awards like this to when, Biffle got into his chopper and started dropping off satellite phones after, the hurricane in North Carolina. That one guy who won a truck race and he was celebrating so hard he broke his own shoulder.
yeah,
Remember that son of a bitch? I think I'm giving it this week. Even though Larson, I think I'm going to give it to Ty Gibbs. Because if you go back to Bowman Gray and you watch that, the qualifying race, when he got pissed off at Justin Haley, went in, hit an open wheel well, and Ty Gibbs, a very good driver, turned into Ty Gibbs, an awful pilot because he went fucking airborne. Yeah, Fly Gibbs. I think so. When you talk about riding the wall, Martinsville and all that kind of stuff, I think Ty Gibbs should be given credit for a very good clip for us all to talk about and run on social media, which is all people who cover NASCAR want to do, is get something to talk about. And so Ty did that by going airborne at Bowman Gray in the Clash. So I'm going to give him the Chili's Ride the Dente Award and remind everybody that we're going to be at Chili's riding the Dente in a couple of days. Tell me why you don't like that.
I don't like it because it came at the expense of our Chili's driver, Justin Haley.
But Justin shrugged it off.
That's
true. I think
true.
Justin wins in that situation.
Yeah.
If you're going to pick a side there,
Yeah, he just kept his cool, stayed in the race. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sticking with Kyle Larson, but I think that Ty Gibbs did provide us a great clip.
That's probably the track that you're least likely to get airborne.
To get airborne in.
Right.
Yeah.
He did it.
Yeah. So just because we'd mentioned so early in the show, I tried to find somebody else to kind of throw in there.
I got you.
I think it's kind of cool to see what buddy of ours all of a sudden go fucking airborne.
And I'm sure once the season starts, we'll have a lot more to choose from in terms of like who wins the award and such.
Yeah, 100%. So without further ado, we're very lucky to have Chase Elliott and Bubba Wallace spend the day with us in the Chicago office. And they came in, did a little sit-down interview with us. It's a long one. We touch upon just about everything. But why don't I just go right to the interview right now? And here comes Chase, and here comes Bubba Wallace. Hey, everybody, welcome on back. It's the Rubbin' Racing podcast. So we're starting off with a bang. NASCAR had reached out to us and said, hey, since you guys are the most popular podcast in all of NASCAR, who do you want for your first episode of the 2025 season? And I said, I would love to have Chase Elliott, and I would love to have Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney was busy, so we got Bubba Wallace, which is fucking terrible. So it's Bubba Wallace, it's Chase Elliott, it's me and Spider. We're back for the 2025 season. How is the offseason? Anything new happening to you in the offseason? Anything new going on in your life?
Why the fuck do you care? You don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't really fucking matter.
Yeah, being a dad.
How's the baby?
It's good. It's good. Thank you for asking. Bex is good. Amanda's good. What a whole whirlwind of life-changing perspective there. I've enjoyed every second of it. He's happy. He's healthy. He's laughing. So we're enjoying it all.
Excellent. Is that going to will that make you slow down at all? Like I don't know what it does when you have a kid in your profession.
Yeah, I don't know either. We'll find out.
I was on Wall Street. I
excited.
stopped recreational drugs when I had my kids. And then once they got to a certain age, I started them again. So I
Got
don't know if there's something that's a 101 for NASCAR.
I'll let you know. We'll see what happens there. But I'm excited for the mentality shift, being honest with you. Just like focusing on family and letting everything else settle in place.
Cool. How was the off season for you?
It was good.
Any snowboarding? I'm going to get that right out of the way. No fucking snowboarding, right?
Why not?
I don't know. I bet just scare me when you snowboard.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
No, I did not go snowboarding this winter. Kind of wish I had, but I didn't. So I'll save that for end season, maybe
Yeah.
like 1st of March or something.
Just make everybody hold their breath. How do you feel going into 2025? So we were just speaking downstairs as Spider was doing the nickel tour throughout the Chicago office, and we were talking about how you really turned it up into the end of the year, into the end of the season in 2024. Momentum is going to carry through. How do you feel about 2025 before we get going into Daytona?
Yeah, no, I feel good about it. I think our team was in a really good spot there to end the season, and I think we were just a little late to the party, honestly. But I think there was a lot to be proud of in those last 3 or 4 weeks, leading some laps and having some chances to win races. And you know, I mean, people might tell you differently, but man, I think half, if not maybe even more than half the battle is just having yourself in position, you know, and I think if you're there often, you're going to get your turn, and you're going to get your turn a lot because that's really, really hard to do. So, yeah, I'm just excited about the way we finished there, and I think we're very capable of continuing that forward. Our team is really strong. You know, a lot of the same guys coming back this year, and that's, to me, always healthy to build together and continue to kind of grow as a group. So we got a good one, and I certainly understand that when you have a group as good as ours, they don't typically stay together very long, right? Because guys are going to get opportunities elsewhere. So we want to make the most of that, and we got a good shot at it.
As a NASCAR fan, there's a lot to be excited for into 2025, whether it be Mexico City or the in-season tournament. Is there something that's most that you guys are most looking forward to this year?
I think I was reminded the in-season tournament. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So I think that'll add a new perspective, especially from a betting standpoint, for sure.
Yeah.
For us drivers, for the guys that watch. I think that'll be different. Like you said, Mexico will be unique. I don't know. Just this is a cliche answer, but just another season. Being able to, you know, be there on Sundays and have an opportunity is cool enough.
You're not pumped for Mexico? Like, as, I don't know, just an exotic port of call compared to the rest that you're normally seeing with, I mean, it's truly different.
Yeah.
Than what, you have. What would get you excited? Like, to
It
be
takes
like
a lot.
Okay.
So
yeah, but I'm 53. But yeah, I know. Yeah. I got some pills if you need them. It's a joke.
Yeah, I think it'll be more exciting when we get there.
Okay.
Like, I will say, when they announced Mexico, it's like, oh, okay, cool. When we announced Chicago, I was like, oh, shit. And came into this deal like, this is.
Really?
I hope it fails.
Really?
One of the best races.
Yeah.
I enjoy coming here.
Mhm.
Win, lose, or draw, which
Yeah.
I've only lost and drew, or just lost. It's a good time. It's a really good time. So I think I've told NASCAR, like, hey, good job. Like, this is cool. So hopefully Mexico's the same way.
What do you think?
I mean, I think the Mexico City thing for me is exciting.
Thank you, Chase.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You see how he said
I
that,
do.
though? He thinks it's very exciting.
Well, what did you want me to say? What were you
Need more
expecting?
energy. What did they say earlier?
Yeah,
Reba?
need more energy. They said the same thing to you, by the way, for the record. No, I really do think the Mexico City thing has potential, but I guess I'm not as excited for the Mexico City race itself as I am for what that could potentially open up for us to leave the country and potentially grow that way. I think the race has potential to be great, but I'm just excited that there's enough willingness to, leave the States.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're still in the same continent, and it's,
Right.
logistically way more sound than going, say, across the Atlantic or something, but you're taking a pretty big step and maybe being able to do that. And I think that, man, that would really be something if you ever got overseas to potentially race. And I would love
agree.
to be a part of something like that. So
There
I
is
think it's a stepping stone.
There's no limit now, right? I mean, towards the end of the season last year, somebody had caught part of a slide deck saying that they were planning a race in Saudi Arabia. Remember? And that kind of whipped
Yeah.
around. It's going to happen in a couple of years. So it seems like there is no limit to where we're going to go with these races, including maybe Montreal the following season. So it's awesome for us. I mean, because we get to sit there
Right.
and have, lengua tacos while you guys are doing your job. But I'm personally as pumped as fuck just to get out there and get to Mexico City with you. Let's talk about this season real quick, if you don't mind. And it's another thing that I alluded to downstairs. when we first started Rubbin, or when we first started talking to drivers, one of the first guys that we spoke to was William. And I had said, what should I be ready for in my first full NASCAR season? He's like, Large, towards the end of the summer, you're going to get a little sick of it. So you probably step away for a couple of weeks, then you come back. The season's too goddamn long. Is there? I mean, is that just the truism for you guys too? There's no other professional athletes, I don't think, who go as long as you guys do in a calendar year, right? Does anyone know one?
It's
No.
close. I mean, golf is close. If you kind of throw that into the mix, baseball would probably be.
You can choose your events though for golf.
That is true. That is true. I mean, baseball would be not terribly far behind if you include spring training into their deal. I don't disagree with you on that. But yeah, it is definitely lengthy, no question.
Well, and then the thing is, really, you only get the month of December off.
Yeah.
From the social side of things, that ramps up week 1. For me, that was week 1 of January, and then leading up into the Clash. Now, it's you get 1 month off. So I mean, yeah, I think we all are agreeing that it's too long. But I don't know if we're ready to have the conversation of what it's going to take to condense it the right way,
I thought the Olympic break was awesome.
For
and
sure.
I know you guys had jumped on it too. It seems like following drivers on social media, they went bananas on their 2 weeks. Other people getting married and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's also a phenomenon that when you go to a championship race, most of the people in NASCAR, whether they're in cars or outside, they go from Phoenix Raceway to the airport to an island or something, because you have to strike while the iron's hot because you only have that short window. Is there something that you guys do mid-season to kind of keep yourself motivated? I mean, that's one of the reasons why they were going to do that tournament, because you do have that horse latitude when you get into that deep summer.
Yeah, that's a good question, because our only off weekend now is Easter.
Easter, yeah.
Well, you know what's crazy is the higher ups in NASCAR, they'll count the Super Bowl weekend as an off weekend.
Oh, okay.
So we get 2. We get 2.
Technically, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be tough. I mean, 8, I think it's the first 8 and then a break and then 28 straight. So this has never been done. So I think you're going to have to get creative on how to keep that flame lit for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no question about that.
The last time we saw you guys both was at the drivers' meeting in Miami. Do you? I mean, for Large and I, the best part about NASCAR is the ability to rub shoulders with you guys and say hello to everyone moments before you get in and go 200 miles an hour for 3 straight hours. Does it ever get annoying to have to, be on the other side of that great access that the fans receive? And does that ever seem like a deterrent or a distraction from the racing that you're about to lock in for?
I mean, you might feel differently or whatever, but it can be a challenge in some areas for sure. But I get it from the fan side. It is great access, and it's unlike most anything else you're going to be around or see. I can see the pros and the cons to that, but I do think for us it is, I think that is a challenge of what we do that people probably don't recognize enough is being able to balance that and also put on the competitive face that you have to have and that nature that you have to go and compete. At least for me, those are 2 totally different things. Being able to shake hands and be in a setting like this and we can all laugh and have a good time to jumping in the race car and then putting the window net up, and then me having to be as cutthroat as it takes today to go and compete at a high level. So I definitely have found that to be a challenge throughout my career. I think I've gotten better at it over time, but it is probably something that doesn't get talked about a lot, at least.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it's such a sticky conversation because it sounds like if you
sounds
say
like
the
you don't
wrong
want
thing,
them around.
Yeah,
like,
you could see
complaining. So
ungrateful.
whatever Chase just said, dub my face on what he said, and I think we'll be okay.
I didn't mean to bait you guys with that question.
But Chase has a point because like you get NFL guys to come out or NBA guys to come out and they're like, holy shit, you got to do this right before you climb in? And it's like, yeah, this is what we do. And they're like, there's no way we could do this. And it's like, yeah. And so I've never heard it from that perspective or said like that, but it is true because you do have to turn on the switch. And what sometimes makes it easier is like seeing you guys get the deal. We can, hey, what's up? And give you the kind of look to be like, hey, get the fuck out of here. But we also have to remember like a lot of these fans that come in, they're new. and they don't know. And so they're going to use it all up, which is what they should do. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience for them maybe, and they're just going to go and be bold and go up to the drivers right before. And so you just kind of have to pay attention and be aware of your surroundings. But it is a lot. It is definitely a task, and we're all human. And at the end of the day, we somewhat have a cool gig that we get to do on Sundays, but not like we wake up and everything's all glitter and gold. You wake up you didn't sleep good the night before, right?
I did not. You're right.
Then you got to go deal with people, and then you
Yes.
got to go race. There's a lot that goes on.
I've seen you sign autographs before you get into a car, Coke 600. Like you're in Charlotte and it's hot out and the whole deal. And I just try to explain to people, I would never be a NASCAR fan if my first foray into NASCAR wasn't seeing it live. So I truly feel like people need to see it live,
for sure.
Because of that. But I also know that I'm a sports fan outside of this, particularly boxing and whatnot. I've never seen someone come up to a boxer in the tunnel. Because that's the easiest way to get knocked the fuck out.
Yeah.
And the stakes are very high for you guys. And I realize that there's only, there's an infinite amount of boxers, infinite amount of football players and stuff where there's only 38 to 40, drivers at any one point. So you're in high demand, and the amount of access that you give makes for that experience that got a guy who doesn't even know how to drive a stick to be a NASCAR lover.
Yeah. I just hire the boxer for me as my PR person if you want to pan to her on the floor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't take her. Let's talk about something that I'd ask you guys as a favor. So I think that Shane Van Gisbergen is the worst thing to ever happen to NASCAR in the past, whatever. I believe he's coming over here and he's going to start to steal our women and all that stuff. What can we do to stop? And he started off slow. I don't know what I'm doing and the whole fucking thing. Then he started winning road course. Now he's kicking balls into old ladies in the stands and shit like that. How do you guys feel around him, and what can we do collectively to make sure that he doesn't succeed?
really don't
at all
like
this
this
year?
guy, huh?
No, I love him. And I was telling Bubba, I met his dad. His dad's nicer than him. I met his sister. All nice people. He's a wonderful person, but I'd love to see
Why'd
him
you
fail.
give him an Italian accent, though?
I don't know what I did. I can't do. Hey, good day, mate. Good day, mate.
no,
But what do you think about
awesome.
this guy? What do you think about the international feel with it now?
It's he's annoying.
Yeah,
Because
It's
win,
good.
lose, or draw, the motherfucker's smiling the whole time.
Yeah,
And it's like, how do you do that?
yeah.
Like, he gets wrecked. What do you say? He got wrecked at Pocono running for 83rd by some wobbler.
Yeah.
Like, his mind, the way he processes shit is awesome.
I think that's just Australians in general.
Yeah?
Probably.
I mean, I think
New
that's
Zealand.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
He's a Kiwi.
Who gives a shit? Don't put any respect
Hey,
on his name.
I-
It's from
It's a big deal.
Madagascar.
No,
I don't give a
think
shit.
that-
Between him and
Yeah.
Scott McLaughlin, they're
Yeah.
senile about that,
Definitely built different though.
for sure.
Whether
sure.
it's like I have met some guys from Australia and New Zealand, and I'm sure they're like, if you ask them, they're probably major differences.
Yeah.
So excuse me on that, but no, I think they're definitely built different, like just kind of wired a little differently,
I
which
agree with
is
that.
and you can see it. That's a great point. Obviously, he's a great competitor, but
Great competitor.
he's got he does have a good attitude. I've never really thought about that, but it is true.
Always smiling.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
He's brought Red Bull back. He's gonna be like all cocky and shit. I'd just like to see somebody put him into the wall. And if you do, just know that you did it for me. That's fair to
Chase
say.
Briscoe at Chicago
I
Street
said this
Race.
off air. You could be him for
I
Halloween.
could be him following. Yeah, big. Even his dog
I
is
think it's just
handsome.
the beard. I don't know, something
Yeah,
else
I'm
about
tall. I'm starting to lean out a little bit.
you. Yeah.
One of the things that I like most about you guys is some of the work that you do in the community. Bubba Block Party, which do here in Chicago. You doing
Yeah.
another one this year?
I think so.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I love, we've spoke about this multiple times, that one race a year where you have like a sick kid for all intents and purposes, like design your car and stuff like that. These are things that we're going to see every year from you guys. Can you talk to me a little bit about that, like the work that you do with?
Yeah, I mean, what
Jeez,
you're referencing
foundation,
is, through my foundation, and over the years we've had a great relationship with the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Has a network of hospitals in the area, and it's been really a great partnership and just a way to get them involved and get the kids involved before the race. Obviously, with the design is kind of something a little bit of a lead up, and then to have them and their families come out to the races the last couple of years has been really cool. So really the thing that has made that over the top has been Napa giving up a whole race. Like, I don't think people realize that they've like literally paid for this race, at the start of the year, and
I
they're
didn't
just
realize that.
willing to give it up for the foundation and for children. So that part of it's been really cool, and really appreciate them, making it what it has become.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, for Bubba's Block Party, it started out as, an avenue for a new demographic of fans to come out to a race, and it so happens there's a party, right? But there just so happens to be a race. That's kind of the environment I wanted to create. And so obviously logistics of that, doing it at the track around race time, my schedule, it's hard. So we've kind of gotten this thing down here in Chicago where it's really nice. You come in a couple of days early and put on an event, and our partners, a lot of our partners get involved. McDonald's is a big partner of ours, obviously being in the heart of it. They do a lot, and so it's just fun to see that group of people, a new group of people, be so invested into our sport. And you'll get a lot of the stories. Well, I never thought I'd be at the racetrack if it wasn't for you. And it's taken me a while to kind of understand that messaging, but I get that so often, and it makes you feel good. You're out there trying to provide an opportunity that you necessarily didn't think that someone needed until you hear those words. And so it's powerful. It's uplifting for sure. And it's just a good time. So we always have some good artists show up and have a good time.
NASCAR this year introduced a new driver incentive program where they will pay up to $1 million to drivers for their engagement with media or other.
The only reason why we're here.
Yeah, I was going to ask, is that why you guys are here? And
son of a bitch.
Will that kind of dictate some of your obligations this year? Or do you think it's just another
Well,
opportunity?
we've been working on this for 2-3 years now, something like that, and I mean, you go out and promote the sport. I think there should be compensation for that for sure, and I think all the drivers were on the same page of that. But it wasn't a matter of, okay, NASCAR, we're just going to pay the drivers this. They got to come up with some sort of formula, some sort of program to where it all makes sense for everybody involved. It's a lot of work, but instead of having the deals where some kind of just run together and you don't really see much traction, you can pick and choose, what you want to do where you think will have a positive impact and make, change or promote the sport in the right way and whatnot. So I think it's very, very beneficial. Again, it goes back to a lot of work, but now that there is something at the end, there's the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. And I think it's big.
Well, in fairness, we have been on y'all's show in New York in New York City when
right.
this was not the case.
I can tell you right now.
I just want to make it known.
You two gentlemen, I can't even single out you two guys. I will single out you two guys because you're here. But we've always had like the greatest of access. Mm-hmm. And again, like knowing how we are with other sports here at Barstool, we walk in just casually have these monster drivers come by. So it's not going to be that much of a difference for us. People reach out to us.
And I think that's large in part to just how you guys do your show. You have put the time in to understand what racing is about, what the discipline is about. And, I think I'll speak for myself, and I think I can speak for a lot of the garage when, you have a media outlet that is willing to invest the time and get to know what is actually happening on a weekly basis.
Just do it right.
We are so much more invested and willing and are going to enjoy that interview because we see that and we appreciate that. For sure. And I think you guys exemplify
Yeah, that's
you clip that,
100%.
You clip that and send that to Dave right now. This interview's over. Fuck it.
It's true.
Yeah.
And but I think Bubba said it, and I think it's about being able to go and get on some larger platforms, and we hope that we're able to do that, and not only this year but in the coming years to try and elevate the sport in different ways that we haven't historically been able to do. And I think if we're doing that, then we're all winning, and that's going to end up being a big deal for us. So we hope that we can all kind of collectively put that effort forward to help grow this thing and make it better.
All right, we're going to break into this interview just 1 second because I want to talk to you about Blue Chew. Have better sex with Blue Chew. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets. These erection-enhancing tablets help men achieve stronger, harder, and longer-lasting erections for sexual activities. Blue Chew is putting its money where its mouth is and offering you a month for free. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA, prepared and shipped directly to your door. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. And the best part, it's all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. We can all relate to wanting to feel more confident, especially in the bedroom, and Blue Chew can help. So make your life easier by getting harder and discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try your first month of Blue Chew free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast.
7-time most popular NASCAR driver. Do you feel a responsibility associated with those accolades? Do you ever get tired of winning? Do you wish someone else got shined a light on?
No, I don't, get tired of it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. And I think that's probably the biggest thing for me is I don't want that to ever get lost in translation, that I'm unappreciative or whatever, because, the 7th year of being asked the same question, sometimes it can be hard to express that and not sound like just me repeating myself, but it is so true. And, I try to express what it means and my recognition of understanding, the history of my family's place in the sport and where I feel like I fit into that. I don't feel like it's just a me thing at all. I don't want that to ever be, perceived the wrong way. So, I don't feel any pressure by it. I didn't start racing my goals weren't to win the most popular driver award every year. It was to be one of the best on track and to compete at a high level. But, for me, throughout the course of my career, the fans have been great. They have shown a lot of support in places across this country that I would have never thought that I would see somebody wearing my T-shirt. And I think those moments have always kind of really put it in perspective for me. It just, to Bubba's point about the block party, when you don't realize what impact you can have on someone's day. And
right.
Like you can make someone's day by just the smallest of interactions. Yep. And it's, it probably took me too long to recognize just what that could mean to someone. And I've always enjoyed that aspect of it. So I don't feel any pressure. I've enjoyed my time, and wherever it goes from here, it goes. But I definitely appreciate the fans and what they've done for me.
I spoke to Bubba about this earlier, and he said he would be willing to do it, but you were just mentioning that your fan base. So would you ever consider OnlyFans? And then how far would you go? Like Bubba said, he'd go total. He's like, I'd go just socks.
Yeah,
would you maybe like something tasteful and shirtless? I think would be. I'd pay $9.99 for it, maybe.
A month.
My wife would. She's a big
would
fan. You know what I mean? Not for you, right? If there's a package deal, you could bump that up to 12, maybe.
I mean, if that were the case, could I?
God.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I mean, lock you in for.
I'm in. Yeah.
Like how many years though? I mean, I feel like you got to get some sort of like.
At my age, right? I don't buy green bananas anymore, so you got me for about 2 or 3 years, I would think.
And that seems like it would be considerable.
Yeah. And once we put the word out.
At 3 years, I mean, if you think about.
Is the clip Chase Elliott now on OnlyFans? Is that it?
That's it.
Bubba Wallace, nobody's signing up?
Socks.
Yeah, that whole thing? Yeah.
The stereotype is so
On
real.
a more PG note, I saw you guys both were in Cars 3 doing some voiceover work. Is there?
How are you gonna go from OnlyFans to Cars 3?
I'm trying to reel it back in here,
talk
but
about going nude. Yeah.
Holy shit.
do you guys have a favorite racing movie? It seems like Talladega Nights is kind of polarizing in the sense that some people think it's like, detrimental to the sport. Other people think it's a great, funny movie. Do you guys have a favorite racing movie?
I would go Cars 3 since I'm in it.
Yeah.
That's big.
That is a good one though. What's your take on Talladega Nights? Good or bad?
Bad.
I
Yeah.
agree.
It's not like a good racing movie. It's just a comedy, and like I remember watching it. I think I was high school, maybe like a freshman or something, and I seen that come out, and I was like, they're making fun of our sport.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not right. But then I've watched it multiple times now, and I'm like, okay, some scenes are funny, but it's Will Ferrell, right?
Yeah.
And I love him as an actor for sure. But I was just like, people that say that's their best racing movie, it's like you guys are missing the boat for sure.
Yeah, if you're a driver and that's your favorite racing movie,
Right.
man, that I don't know about that.
Yeah.
That's pretty far off base.
Yes, for sure.
There aren't enough of them, though. There aren't enough
One of my
racing.
favorite ones is Tom
It's so
Cruise.
hard to convey.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing. That's the easiest way for them to convey it is the way they did it.
Right.
And that's such a departure from reality,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the easiest way for them to do it.
What were you gonna say, Days of Thunder?
Yeah, that's personally my favorite one. I love Tom Cruise's action movies, and I love that it's NASCAR themed. I would love to see another sequel come out to that. And I think in the first one, they actually were racing while they were filming parts of the race while there were active drivers on the track.
Yeah.
What would your guys' position on that be?
So it's going to be similar to what Brad Pitt's doing with the F1 movie, right?
Yeah.
So interesting to see what that takes out, but I don't know. Never really done that, but it'd be interesting, I think.
So did you know that when they were filming that, they made those cars qualify in on time? And y'all can fact check me on that.
In
But
Days of Thunder?
I'm fairly certain
Oh, really?
that NASCAR made them. Somebody in the back can double check me on this, but they wouldn't just let them on the track to film. So they actually had to qualify
Really?
those things, and then they put all the camera and stuff in there afterwards. That was the story I heard.
Really?
I don't know.
Huh.
Double check me now. I don't want to.
Yeah.
In the meantime, let's get back to that OnlyFans.
Yeah, what about that?
So with the guys
You have
retiring,
something to tell us?
I don't. I'm going to launch mine, and it's going to be done in conjunction with the guys
I'll have
retiring.
to think about that.
Yeah. Well, how much would you pay
For
me?
you?
You'd have
Per
to
month.
pay Chase.
Yeah, it's probably it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to do one of those free
We'll
things.
see if this driver program thing will
don't
get
know.
points
Yeah.
paid off.
Yeah. I regret asking the
accurate?
question.
That was accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
With all big names in the sport retiring, just naturally walking away, like who do you miss more, Harvick or MTJ? Like who do you think is going to be more missed at the racetrack? Because it's two of the biggest ones, most recent, and we're going to have a couple more in the next couple of years.
I would personally have to say, from a 1,000-foot view, Harvick would be most missed. And nothing against Truex, but he was just so reserved.
Yes. Yeah.
And so people, you like 5 years down the road, oh, Truex retired? Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
As for Harvick, obviously he's still a part of the sport in the broadcast booth and stuff. But also I've been racing against his son Keelan.
Oh,
Legend
really?
Car stuff.
Yeah.
I've just
Y'all
been
in the
riding
same
around.
class?
Yeah, now we are. We just ran
Oh, okay.
against each other for the first time this past weekend. And I'm just riding around. He's out there ripping. I'm like, damn. Now I know what it was like when I was 11, kicking the 30-year-old's ass. And I'm the 30-year-old now.
Right.
So, it's been fun. But Harvick's been really good. The whole family's been really good. So that's my personal take on that.
I mean, between those two, I would say Kevin. I mean, I like Martin a lot too, though. I mean, to Bubba's point, Kevin's career, well, I guess not really super dissimilar to Martin and moving around and kind of having that second shot, so to speak, and it really going well for him. So I don't know. That's a good one. I could argue both sides to that.
Yeah.
If you're really a true race fan, I could argue both sides to it, like when you kind of know the ins and the outs. But, looking at it from overhead, Kevin's impact and his story and his start and all those things certainly carry some weight.
As a follow-up, I almost asked that just because there's a huge dichotomy between those two guys. Like you said, when we had everyone at the bar in Nashville, everyone came. It was so nice. Martin kind of hung out at the downstairs bar. He just kind of likes being by himself. He's the nicest guy in the world.
Yep.
He's my favorite driver, Martin Truex. So I'm not, older guy from Jersey. He's my favorite driver. But Martin looks like he's never going to be in a booth or do anything like that. Like Truex looks like he's going to be very happy fishing for the rest of his life. And Harvick is everywhere, right? Now he's happy hour, all that stuff. Do you guys see yourself being one or the other when you decide to hang it up at some point, 15 years from now?
Well,
That's going to be Martin Truex Jr. I'll be the Harvick Jr.
Is that easy to say?
But let me ask
Nah.
you this: would Martin be doing what Kevin's doing if he had a kid in there that was coming up in
Oh.
the sport too?
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty valid point.
Yeah.
And just the reality of what might be driving some of those decisions for Kevin and why he's wanting to stay so relevant, as time goes.
True.
Have you guys given any thought on how long you want to race for? Or do you think that will be something that just comes to you as your career progresses?
Man, the easiest answer, as long as you keep getting paid.
Yeah.
All right. But I think there comes a point where
That's a great answer, actually.
I think there comes to a point where if you feel like your competitiveness starts to fall, then it's like, okay, you need to look yourself in the mirror that next season that comes up and be like, this could be your last, you know? Because I would honestly say I'm not the one to just ride around for a paycheck. You know, I still want to be competitive. And so when that opportunity runs out, then that'll be it for me.
You were talking about bringing NASCAR to a new demographic, and this year it's going to be tougher for old school NASCAR guys to even find the races sometimes, right? Because it's going to be spread out among so many different, contracts and whatnot. But I find it extremely exciting that you guys are going to be on Amazon for at least part of the season. How do you guys feel about branching out from the more traditional, distribution to something like Amazon for at least part of the season?
Yeah, what we got? Fox, CW, Amazon, USA. I mean, yeah, luckily I'm in the show, so I don't have to worry about trying to find it.
Yeah.
I think it's big. Venturing out, kind of adding some different personalities throughout the season, I think is big. I hope it doesn't get to the point where it's too convoluted, if you will. This may be like a test run to see which direction they want to go. I'm obviously we're not on the TV side of things, but I think it's cool for all parties involved.
And big paychecks too. You know what I mean? As long as they're doing it. How do you feel about that?
I think to Bubba's point, I think it's a little bit of a trial run to kind of see what's going to work and what's not. Obviously, the Amazon thing, I think, carries a lot of reach, in a lot of different areas. So I can see the pros with that. And the fact that they've gotten involved in some other sports might be enticing, that you're like, oh, okay, I can watch Thursday night football in the fall and, be able to catch these races. So it might make your sports fans, at least for me, I consider myself a sports fan. I would consider that to make a little bit of sense. But I think my biggest fear is I don't want to make it too hard for people to watch. And I don't think that's a NASCAR problem. I don't think that's a us problem. I think that's a sports problem in general, because it's hard for these big sports, whether it be the NFL or whoever, to turn down the groups that are coming to them to
100%.
Want to stream it. So I get that. It is frustrating sometimes. You're like, man, you got to have a subscription for this and a subscription for that. I fight it, like everybody else does.
Right.
And I just don't want to get it too far in the weeds, but hopefully we can kind of streamline that process, and I think if we can do that, it'll be fine.
But it's almost like it's the saying about, do you have a boat? Nope, but I have a buddy that has a boat.
Yeah.
Like we were trying to watch the end of the Rolex race this weekend, and I didn't have the Peacock subscription. Blaney did, though. Appreciate you, my
There
boy.
it is, yeah. It is going to be cool as shit, though, getting an Amazon package and the tape.
Yeah.
I'll be like, we'll picture
Is this
Bubba.
sponsored by Amazon? Is this all you care about?
No, I don't. I mean, yeah, maybe if you want to send me some free shit, please. Yeah, my wife spends enough there.
I am, though. So.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, you're welcome,
There was
Bubba.
some tie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There
jerk.
was some tie.
Speaking of Ryan Blaney, one of my favorite videos that I saw on Twitter long after I realized I became a NASCAR fan was you and Blaney playing drums and doing screamo music together. Yeah. What inspired you to become such a good drummer? And is your ideal concert like Phil Collins or something?
No. It's about like golf. I just happen to have a set of golf clubs. I'm not a good golfer, and I just happen to have a drum set. I'm not a good drummer. I like to play every once in a while. The most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done, though, is played a section of a song for a band that I'm friends with. I'll never do that again. Hated it.
At the concert?
Mm-hmm. Live.
Ooh.
It was the breakdown part. It was like 15 seconds,
Did
20
you mess
seconds.
up or something?
I did.
Oh.
I did.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
let me flip
That
the
would
question.
be rough.
Mm-hmm.
If it were up to you guys to hire like pre-race concert, let's say for the Daytona 500, who would be the ideal artist? If it were
Not
up to
the
you?
backyardigans. That's who we always get.
Oh.
It's crazy.
Yes, that's
I don't know, some
Backyardigans.
A-list celebrity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Chase? Anyone come to mind?
I mean, I'm a big Eric Church guy. He'd be
Yeah.
a great one for that.
I think he's A-list. There
Yeah.
we go.
yeah.
Yeah, he would be
I would-
considered
Okay,
A-list.
there we go.
That would be
I would
great.
say.
Yeah.
Can't you just
Luke,
make a call?
Luke Combs did it not long ago, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, is he not A-list?
No, he is. I'm not
Okay.
discrediting them, but that was one race out of the 36 we go to.
Oh, you're talking about for any race. I thought you were talking about just for Daytona, like the
Oh,
first
what did you ask? I'm sorry.
Well, I asked ideal. I guess it was for Daytona,
Oh, I'm
but
sorry.
something like even like the Chicago Street Race we saw for a full kind of festival of music, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have anything else?
Yeah, remove and add one track to the circuit, or to the schedule rather. If it were up to you, is there like your least favorite track, and then a track that you don't race on now?
Okay, I got mine. Remove the Roval and add Charlotte back, the oval.
Okay, easy.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's not going well.
That's as good as you could do.
You like the Roval?
I'm just saying, of all we had options that were
Well,
infinite.
I don't hate.
But yeah, I like the Roval.
I mean, I run good there. I'm pretty fast there. It's not my fastest road course, so I'll take that one. But I miss the oval. So you're saying add any track?
Yeah, it could be
in
one.
America or wherever. It could be anywhere in the world.
I don't want to add another fucking road course.
It ain't got to be a road course.
Well, what other oval is out in the world?
Boy, I know of a real good one.
Which one?
That's going to be my answer, but I don't want you to steal
In the
it.
country?
It is. It just so happens to be in the country, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead. I said my answer. I'm good.
You good with it?
Yeah.
I would say we take away Texas. I'm not a Texas fan,
Fair.
for sure.
My man's last win there.
I
Fuck
was
that
gonna
place,
say.
right?
Well, that's why
gonna
let's
say.
just go ahead and get rid of it. You know,
You go out on top.
yeah, slayed that dragon. Let's go on down the road. And I would put the fairgrounds in,
Okay. Fair.
no question.
Great track. Yeah.
Either way, we're going to be at a bunch of races this year. Right now, we're scheduled to be at least Daytona, Atlanta, with Talladega. We should be in Chicago, be in Mexico City, and we're going to add a bunch. Is there anything on this? When we went to Michigan, we were so pleasantly surprised. I didn't know what racing was going to be like in Michigan. Infield was great. It was like Michigan. Yeah, very good time. Is there anything? Because we haven't been to Watkins Glen. I haven't been to Watkins. I haven't been to Dover. I haven't been to a lot. Are there anything that we need to like make sure we get to? We've been to most of the big ones.
Dover's not much action going on. They got a nice casino there. I don't know about their sports book there, but
Okay.
Dover's not much action. There's no infield. You know, the only thing that's in the infield is the drivers in the
Okay.
deal lot.
Yeah.
The track, for me personally, I've always loved Dover just because it's such a beast of a track. And so I don't know if it's captured just from watching from the naked eye. If you're standing there, or if you're in the pits, or if you're in the stands, you don't see the crazy shit we go through just diving off into turn one. Like, it's jumping off a 2-story building.
Oh, really?
Is the easiest way to describe it. But it's so much more to that. I just don't know if watching it you feel that.
Right.
So, sure, it's not far from Jersey. So
No, yeah, it's a hop skip. I just don't know why we haven't, because I go to Pocono.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like an hour
Yeah.
for me, and it's a real easy little jaunt.
Yeah.
So we're always looking for something. I kind of want to do Iowa, you know?
that's really doing nothing there.
But I just want to, I just think it's like a different experience.
Have you been to Darlington?
No, I haven't been to Darlington.
I would put Darlington on there. I mean, the Southern 500 to
Yeah.
me is
go to Darlington.
one of our
Yeah.
best races.
You did
on
the Bristol Night
schedule.
race?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, y'all did that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was loud, yeah.
How about for
Watkins
general?
Glen's good though.
I haven't been to Watkins Glen
It
yet.
is
I
really
haven't been
nice
there.
up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a hole.
Our whole show is trying to onboard new NASCAR fans. If you could pick one race for a new NASCAR fan, their first race to attend, what would it be?
Let's go Bristol Night race.
Yeah.
I would agree. Or that or the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
because
Yep.
As the
of
intro.
what it is.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a
All right.
spectacle.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap it up just because you guys have been extremely gracious with your time. This is Bubba Wallace.
Wheelhouse.
Okay, Bubba Wallace and Chase Elliott. And this Rubbin is Racing. We're glad to be back. Let's have a season. I want to thank Chase and Bubba for coming in. And I know that I had mentioned that NASCAR was incentivizing these guys to do stuff like that this season, but I think it's important to mention, and Spider had mentioned it to me earlier, Chase and Bubba were always DTF. They were always down to do whatever. Chase has visited our offices in New York, and Bubba is always great to do whatever we want with him. So we appreciate their continued support, and we hope to have him on later on in the season. But the most important thing that we have going on this week is that we're going to Daytona. There's the adrenaline of the Daytona 500 is something you must experience in person. There's nothing like witnessing the stars of NASCAR battle for position going 200 miles an hour on a 2.5-mile super speedway. 40 drivers will compete with everybody that you ever heard of. Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, Ross Chastain, Martin Truex is coming in, Jimmy John. Everybody is going to be there. They're all going to be on their track. It's going to be the start of another historic NASCAR season. You don't want to miss this once-in-a-lifetime sporting event. So tune in. I'm going to tell you this every week on where you got to go. We're starting with Fox. So tune in February 16th, this Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox for the first checkered flag of the season at the iconic Daytona 500. Anthony Mackie, the guy who's playing the new Captain America, who some people fucking hate because he had mentioned in an interview that Captain America really doesn't represent America. So they were like, holy shit, cancel the shit out of this guy. He backtracked and said, no, Captain's just a universal thing. I wonder how the crowd's going to act to this dude. I wonder if he's going to get booed the fuck out of there like Taylor at the Super Bowl. Yeah. But Anthony Mackie is going to be the Grand Marshal. Myself, Spider are going to be down there, like we had said, with Rico and with Jerry. So Rico and Jerry are the gambling guys. The Daytona 500 is the most fun race of the year to gamble on, I think, because the odds are all over the place. So with that, we're going to go into picking the tires. We're going to have Jerry come in here and make a couple of predictions with us, and Picking the Tires is brought to you by DraftKings. The first sign of spring isn't the groundhog, it's the engines firing up to tackle the oval down in this weekend's race. From green flag to checkered flag, get in on all the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an authorized gaming operator of NASCAR. It's the 67th running of this weekend's big race. 40 cars will start, and only one will finish the 500 miles first. There are so many betting options on DraftKings, from live betting, props, and so much more. So start the NASCAR season off in the winner's circle. And here's something special for our first timers. New DraftKings customers, bet only $5 to get $150 in bonus bets instantly. So take the checkered flag with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code RUBBIN, RUBBIN. That's code RUBBIN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Let's get Jersey Jerry in here and make some fantastic picks. All right, so as promised, we're back picking the tires, and we have one of our very special guests, Jersey Jerry. Jersey, if you're Jerry, if you're looking at Barstool from 30,000 feet, and you had to say who's the best or most successful gambler at Barstool, is it you?
No, not me.
If you're looking at 30,000 feet and you say who's the worst gambler at Barstool, is that closer to being you, or are you closer to being in the top tier? You closer to top tier, bottom?
Since I've been at Barstool, I've been negative 1 year during football season, positive the rest, and positive every March Madness. So I'm pretty good, but I struggle with UFC a lot.
Okay.
UFC's, I think I'm good at it, but I'm terrible at it.
All right, terrible?
Yeah, really bad.
Have you ever bet NASCAR before?
No, never.
That's what.
No, I did. I think I bet it one time.
We probably got him on a Monday race or something
Spider
like that.
gave me a pick, and I think it was just a dud.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it does sound about right.
Before we give picks this year, I'll give some stats.
Please.
How's that sound? 3 of the last 4 Daytona 500 winners open with odds of 33-1 or longer.
33-1.
That's a lot.
Denny Hamlin was the only winner in the last 5 years with odds shorter than 18-1. We've got Ricky Stenhouse, who was 33-1 in 2023. Austin Cindric won the 2022 Daytona 500. His pre-race odds were 40-1, and in 2021 it was Michael McDowell at a whopping 66-1. Since 2007, when Toyota joined the NASCAR Cup Series, the Toyotas have only won the Daytona 500 3 times, all of which came at the wheel of Denny Hamlin. And then average finishes, a couple names to watch. Jerry, it sounds like you might have been a Bubba guy, and we'll defer to your picks in a minute here. But Bubba and Kyle Busch both share a 9.3 average finishing position in the NASCAR Next Gen era since 2022 at Daytona. So a couple names to watch.
And it's not just the fastest car, right? Like, if you have the fastest car, doesn't mean you're going to win the race.
This race, less than any other. Like, This is the most random crapshoot. Can you stay alive and not get it? This is a big, like, crash race. Like, there's tons of crashes that will take out 13 guys at once, and you can do.
And they're done. They're finished.
Yeah, and you can do absolutely nothing wrong.
Gotcha.
And there's just nowhere to go, and the car in front of you is.
But isn't
crashing.
this track? I remember you talking about it, Spider. Isn't it foot on the gas the whole way?
Yeah.
Like
at the end.
But they link up, so it's a lot of like pushing each other from behind.
Gotcha.
And that's where if you kind of slip up and your plan is to go into the other lane, and the guy behind you pushing doesn't know, and you're kind of turning the wheel a little bit, and then you get a push, and then you get loose, and you slam into the wall, and then the car in the line above hits you, and then everybody piles up. So
What happens if you crash in like the first So there probably won't be a crash early, like first 5 laps, 10 laps.
It can be, but
they've started to go a little more passive.
Okay.
Which kind of stinks to watch, but a little bit to save fuel and a little bit of like nobody wants their day to be done that early.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of are single file or like probably 2 lines and just pretty passive. But I don't know. Every race is different, and like this year they may come out and be like, saving fuel is not the best strategy this year. Running up front's the best strategy. If you get something like that, everybody's trying to get in the front, and people are moving and shaking, and you could go in there and sit down in your seat, and you're waiting 30 minutes for them to restart because they're cleaning up 25 cars.
Right now, the weather looks pretty good. There's supposed to be a little bit of rain coming in, so we might have a delay in and around race time, but we're going to get the race off. There's nothing worse than being at a NASCAR race in the rain. I will tell you, as it gets down to the end, it's almost a matter of when, not if, there's going to be a big one, a big fucking wreck.
Yeah.
So you see guys who are all of a sudden in the winner's circle who are very long odds. That being said, we tend to jump on some of these guys who are familiar faces who are shorter odds just because you can't help yourself. But people who had Harrison Burton in the Daytona August race last year were probably people whose last name were also Burton. Like, you know what I mean?
Gotcha,
So
yeah.
somebody's going to win a lot of money, and so you got to dartboard some of it. It's a very fun race to bet on because there are no short odds in this goddamn thing.
Yeah, no, I was
Anybody
looking.
can
It's
win.
crazy.
Yeah.
Everything is plus.
I love the Toyota stat that Spider threw out.
Yeah.
And it makes me almost not want to touch Toyota that doesn't have an 11 on the side of it.
You know, as much as I said that, since 2015, Chevy has 4 wins at the Daytona 500, Ford has 4 wins, and Toyota has 3. So if we're looking at the last
With
10
one
years,
driver.
yeah. If we're looking at the last 10 years, it is pretty even, especially Toyota only having 3 compared to the other 2 having 4. They have a much smaller percentage of the field.
Yeah.
So
Who's the most reckless driver?
Rick Stenhouse.
Ricky Stenhouse. Sometimes
At
they
least
call him
like
Recky Spinhouse.
Oh, really?
Like, you know what I mean? 'Cause Rex-
Yeah.
And Ricky won the Daytona 500.
Yeah.
A good friend of the show, comes on all the time. He's a great dude and stuff, but he
I
can be
like that a
aggressive. Yeah. So like Ross Chastain drives in the 1. Very aggressive type guy too. That, you're going to see guys that, like, right off the bat, we ask people when they go down to races with us to pick their driver, and some drivers do make sense for the guys that are picking them.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of drivers that have like a Jersey Jerry mentality.
Yeah, I'd like
to
the
them.
reckless guy.
Yeah, you like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Sort of lunch pail guys who get in
yeah.
there. Yeah, I don't blame you. So there's a huge field and all that. Do you want to just throw out a couple of bets before you throw Jerry into the fire with
Sure.
it? Spiders, anything that
yeah,
jumps
let's
out
go.
at you?
Let's start
Quicks
with you,
go.
Quicks.
Yeah.
Who do you like?
I'm going 3 winners. So I guess for Jerry, at least this is my strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's no point in taking the top, like the guys with the lowest odds.
Gotcha.
I think like a plus in this, Denny Hamlin is the favorite at plus 900. I think anybody on the top 5, 6, there's no point because anyone could win it. Like they could just get wrecked and they're out of it. I don't think there's any value there, and I think you need to have multiple picks for the same reason of your guy might be done on lap 1, and it's not as fun to watch that race with nobody to root for.
And Quiggs, like, for example, Denny Hamlin being the shortest odds, he's still 9-1. That's great for any sport,
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
yeah, for sure.
But the point is, when we get deeper into the season, we're going to have races where Kyle Larson will be 3-1. Like, you know what I mean? So they do 9-1 being the favorite in NASCAR is also very far. Like it's long odds for the shortest odds being on the board. But I agree, I'd never take the short odds, at least not to win.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Quiggs,
So
give
I'll
us
go with, I guess, the most favorite out of my guys, and I love this value. I wanted to take Bubba, and then I realized Bubba's plus 2,000 and Tyler's plus 2,800.
good.
And I think arguably Reddick should be swapped.
In a Toyota.
But yeah, but I like the Toyotas. I think Toyota could win this, and I think getting him for plus 2,800 is great. I think he's got almost as good a shot as anyone else. So I'm taking him. I'm taking Michael McDowell plus 3,500, great super speedway racer, could be in the mix. And then I think this may be a reoccurring theme all year. I'm taking Shane Van Gisbergen. Plus 7,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's gonna click with him, and he's gonna do really good on some tracks we don't expect him to, and this one's as good as any. And plus 7,000, I think when you get down that low in the list, he's the most likely out of any of them. So those are my 3 picks.
God damn it! I think I like that Shane pick.
Yeah.
I'm not putting it in, but I think I like it.
Does experience matter in these races?
Yeah, I think your experience riding on super speedways, and Shane doesn't have that. Like, he was a supercar driver down in New Zealand, and he's known to be a road course specialist, like the ones where they have to make lefts and rights. One of my predictions for the season is that he's going to get a win off of a road course. I didn't know if I would think super speedway. I was thinking more like a short track or something. So, yeah, I think some people are experts at staying alive, right? Which you need to do.
Yeah.
You just need sometimes to stay fucking alive, because the big one that'll happen will take out 15 cars.
That's
like
crazy.
take them out. You know?
There's some cars that, like, some years guys will start. They qualify. They start in 5th place, and they intentionally immediately drop to the back.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow. They don't wanna
immediately
be in
just
that- yeah.
basically
On purpose.
opt in to be in the back and say there's going to be some crazy shit that happens up front with everybody doing this. I'm not dealing with it. I'm just going to ride in the back, make sure I'm there for the last 100 laps, and then I'm going to move my way to the front.
Damn, wow, that's wild.
They want to be behind the big rack and then drive into the lighter colored smoke. You know what I mean? Which is fucking crazy.
How far back can you, like, okay, say there's like 20 laps to go.
Yep.
How far back can you be with a realistic chance to win the race?
With 20 laps, you could be
Dead last.
dead last. You would
It's a
you would want
2.5
some
mile
wrecks.
lap.
Okay,
Like, if this
gotcha.
was a short track where it's
Yeah.
like a half mile, you need more than 10 miles maybe. But with
Yeah.
20 laps, you still got 50.
If you're on the lead
Lots of
lap, I
races.
would say the last car can win.
Yeah. Because
Even on like the last 3 laps.
you could be let's say you have plenty of fuel in your tank. 20 laps to go. There's a wreck on lap 18, takes out 10 guys. So they throw the yellow flag, it's caution. 10 guys are out because they got in a wreck. And then 15 of the guys aren't doing great on fuel. They need to fuel up at some point to get to the end of the race. They go in for fuel. You don't. You jump them.
Yeah.
Now you're in, let's say, 10th place, and you have 19 laps to go. You make a couple moves. There's another wreck, and then you're restarting in 3rd. All you had to do is push the guy in front of you,
Crazy.
make a move, and you could win the race.
Damn.
All right, so you have winners. You have Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yep.
You have Tyler Reddick.
Yep. And
Tyler
Michael
Reddick was
McDowell.
4,500, you say?
No, 2,800.
2,800, I'm sorry. Shane was plus 7,000 or some bullshit?
Yep, plus
Right?
7,000.
And what else do you have?
Michael McDowell plus 3,500.
Okay, and that's it for the weekend.
That's
for right
it.
now.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll add.
You
want
wanna
to
go next, or-
Yeah, I'll go next. Before I give my 3 plays, I need to preface by saying that DraftKings has been extremely generous with all of the no-sweat bets they've been doing at the conclusion of football season. All of those wagers have gone to super long shots at the Daytona 500.
Right.
I think I have already 10 plays
He
on
has
my card.
everyone
Yeah,
in the
he has
field.
That
everybody.
being said, I'm not even going to mention those guys by name. Hopefully we cash one and you'll see me celebrating.
Do
but-
a quick run through the names.
Yeah, can we get a quick
When-
run through?
when-
He's
do
got,
no analysis. Just say every name
All right,
that you have.
let me
a bet
start
on.
the back. I got Josh Berry, Carson Hocevar, Todd Gilliland, SVG, Justin Haley, Ryan Priest, Eric Jones, Justin Allgaier, John Hunter Nemechek, Cole Custer, Noah Gregson, Martin Truex Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Riley Herbst, Zane Smith,
fucking crazy.
Daniel Suarez, Austin Dillon, and Alex. Actually, let me start with this one. I have Alex Bowman, most fastest laps run at the Daytona 500, 65-1. The rest of those guys in those neighborhoods, in that neighborhood, are like pretty historically backmarker drivers. So to see Alex Bowman down there, that looked weird to me. I took a little sprinkle on that, and I love that DraftKings is offering props, fun props, like which driver will run the most fastest laps. That being said, back to my actual plays. I'm going to go with Quiggs' approach and give 3 drivers. I really liked his Tyler Reddick pick until I scrolled down and saw that his average finish at Daytona was 26.3. But that being said, 3-time Daytona 500 champion Denny Hamlin is 27th He finishes average 27th at Daytona, and he's won the thing three times. So that might be a bad metric. But I'm going to go with guys that are all above 20-1. If you look again back at my stats, the only driver in the last 5 years to win was
Denny, right?
Denny, that had shorter than 18-1 odds, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to go with Bubba Wallace, 20-1 to win the race.
Yep.
Christopher Bell, 22-1 to win the race. And then Chris Buescher, 25-1 to win the race. All of these guys, again, this might not be a valuable metric, have an average finish at Daytona of 15th or lower.
I think it's somewhat valuable. It doesn't mean anything really about actually how they finish, but it's kind of a number of like who stays clean and finishes races in general.
Give me those three.
I got Bubba, Chris Bell, Chris Buescher. I like all three of them. They're probably the killer bees, CB and BW. So yeah, I think all those guys have pretty generous odds for the level of skill that they have. Chris Buescher is a great driver. Bubba's proven that he's a threat at super speedways, and then Chris Buescher as well. I think it's just really. I think those guys are really good, really strong.
Up to me. I think Austin Hill in the Xfinity race is disgustingly short odds at plus 330.
You're going Xfinity.
You can get his teammate at twice that, Jesse Love at plus 700. I'm tempted to touch Jesse Love and then maybe sprinkle a little on Little Gator and fucking Harrison Burton to repeat at Daytona at plus 2,000. I don't know. I'm looking over the Xfinity. I know we haven't mentioned it, but just so you know, DraftKings has it on every one of the series. So right now I'm tempted to go Jesse Love plus 700, Allgaier plus 11, and Harrison Burton for Saturday's race. Sunday's race, the longest odds I'm taking, Quiggs will not agree with. And you know who that is?
Wait. Let me look. So wait, you're saying this guy
that
is a
you
long
won't
shot?
like.
Oh, Bell.
No.
Oh.
It's not Bell because that's shorter odds. Who's the other guy that he gives no respect to? It's Eric Jones.
Oh, yeah.
I'm taking Eric Jones
go
at
Jimmy
plus,
Johnson for
No,
a
I'm
second.
taking Eric Jones at plus 5,500. I'm also going to a prop, and I'm doing best Ford. No, I'm going to do best Chevy. Best Chevy right now, I'm going to take William Byron at plus 700.
Ooh.
All William Byron has to beat is Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and Kyle Busch at plus 450. Kyle Busch is getting a lot of shine. So just beating those four guys and getting plus 700, I'm all over William Byron as the best Chevy. And my third one, I don't know. I think that I have to do one person that's a little bit of shorter odds. So I'll take Eric Jones, William Byron to be the best Chevy, and then the third guy that I'm going to take, I have to, and I'm probably going to regret it, but for some reason Brad K just stands out of me, so I'll take him at plus 1,500. Those are my three. Are you tempted to take Brad K, or you have that off that
It's just
train?
he's always up there. That final restart, he'll be
Yes.
in the top 6 guys.
Yeah.
Like somehow.
So that's who I have. So Jerry, you had done assigns. Did that already come out?
No, but
We could say it.
it might be out the same day as
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, this is a
Bubba
But yeah, we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
can
took
spoil
Bubba
who
Wallace
it is.
to win. That's my big play.
That's fine.
But I'm gonna have I'm gonna do two other winners.
Ooh.
Watch the Full Speed documentary. Fell in love with William Byron,
Okay.
the sim guy, right, Spider?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fell in love with him.
Won
Don't
you
know.
over?
Listen, I don't know much.
I got
about
him as best
NASCAR.
Chevy. You know, he won last year. He won the Daytona 500 last
Oh,
year.
great. So, yeah, I'm on William Byron. He's plus 1,600. And then another crazy play I got, second to last longest odds,
BJ?
J.J. Yealy.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Because
JJ
the
Yelly.
initials,
No, why
JJ.
not?
Oh yeah, you gotta go JJ.
So
There it
I
is.
just seen that
If
there.
What
JJ
about
Yelly
Jimmy-
wins, or Jimmy fucking Johnson.
Yeah, that should have
Oh,
been your
Lord,
JJ.
double-
No,
Please.
don't touch Jimmy
Wait,
Johnson.
is he old?
Yes, he's
I'm
on-
out.
Yeah, he's
If I
part-
could-
he owns most
Well,
of the legacy.
JJ's
And he comes back. He's one of the greatest.
Well, he's got experience, right?
Yeah.
If I
JJ
could bet
Yelly's-
last place, I would put it on Jimmy Johnson.
Last place?
Right.
He just always, it's like lap
How old
5.
is he?
He's not that old of a guy. Handsome as all get out too. So
Maybe I'm
40
thinking of a
I'd
different
say
Jimmy
he's
Johnson.
touching 50.
He's 49 years old.
So that's my fucking point.
Are you thinking
Riggs.
of the
50's not
the
that
announcer,
fucking
Jimmy
old.
Hold on.
Thinking of the guy
I'm
from
thinking of the announcer.
Cal-
I'm thinking of the announcer.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm thinking announcer Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah. I'm going to put Yelly on my fucking card because of this guy.
He's gonna have
I
to-
don't want to miss out on that.
Jared,
I
he's
might
going to
too.
have to qualify his way into this race.
Oh, what does
Jimmy,
that mean?
yeah.
He's not guaranteed a
Take him top
spot.
10.
Oh yeah, I could do
He's
top
plus
10.
1,300.
Also, I want to take a winner, the young kid that was a fan of mine.
Oh, Noah Gregson and
Oh, good bet.
Yeah.
Zane Smith.
Yeah. They were really nice.
So everybody, when they had heard that Jerry's coming down, they're very, very excited. I know you're talking to Bubba about strip clubs.
Yeah, that was
Giving
fun.
him a little
yeah.
dig. He's like, unlike most people, I look for those that are 2.5 stars,
Stars or
and lower.
less. Yeah.
They were talking about how neither of them go.
Neither of them go,
Never-
obviously.
they
Yeah,
hate how
but if
much
they
they hate
were,
them.
the whole deal. So, so it's gonna be good. So it's gonna be Rico, Jerry, myself, Spider, tearing up Daytona, including our Q&A at Chili's at Ormond Beach on Friday at 12 with Carson Hocevar and Justin Haley. Do you guys also want to put together a 3 driver parlay, maybe 3 top 10s?
Yeah,
I think
Spider,
absolutely.
you
should,
pick
yeah.
one, you pick one, and I'll pick
I'm
one.
gonna stick with Bubba Wallace. As
Okay.
Top 10.
So
Okay.
we're, just so those at home listening, we're gonna have a banner on DraftKings where with all 3 of our faces, you can
Nice.
tail our play, and hopefully we can cash this. This will be the first one that we've done. So
So he's going to take Bubba Wallace for a top 10. Who are you top 10? Spider.
I'm gonna go with.
Bubba Wallace is minus 105, so maybe go something with a plus sign.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Chase Briscoe plus 110.
I like that.
I'm going to take Busher minus 120, and that's going to be around plus 75. Right?
Plus 650.
Plus
651.
651. I like that.
Or do you want to go a little bit further out?
No, I think that's great.
All right, so plus 650, Chris Busher, Bubba Wallace, Chase Briscoe. Book it. This is Jersey Jerry. He's going to be down in Daytona with us this weekend. This is Rubbin is Racing. We're fucking back for the 2025 season. Thank you, Jacob, on the 1s and 2s. We'll see Moonhead next week, and we'll see you next week. Rubbin is Racing.
Peace.